The plainest Jane. This is one of my favorite comments here. She says, I loves me some black, and she said, loves me some black news. She says, is it just me, or does anyone else get tired of seeing people that don't look like them delivering info about them day in and day out?
I'm your girl, the plainest Jane, and let's see what's happening in these virtual streets. You ready? All right now. This could be a crazy ride. I'm warning you now. What up and welcome back. It's your girl Jane, the plainest Jane, and y'all know how I give it up over here. On this channel, I serve syrup in the form of black news and celebrity updates because y'all know things are always sticky in Hollywood and in real life, and boy, do we have some stuff that we need to talk about today. If you're in the Discord, you know that I was trying to talk about this yesterday, but baby, my stomach just wasn't letting up on me. I don't know why it kept punishing me like that. But nonetheless, we have a lot to get into. Come on in, have a seat on the bus. Hit the thumbs up. There's a lot of great things I got in store for you in this show and some other stuff I have brewing on the back burner. So just stay tuned and wait. And shout out to everybody who subscribes and supports your girl. So on today's bus ride, I have quite a few things I want to talk to you about. Of course, we've got to talk about Aretha Franklin. Okay, there are just a certain sector, right, or a certain group of transgenders who deem Aretha Franklin's song from 1968. They find it to be offensive. I want to talk about that. We're also going to open up the phone lines because I want to hear y'all sound off about it as well. What are your thoughts when it comes to cis women, natural born women, whatever you want to call people who were assigned female at birth? What are your thoughts about the transgender community coming after cis women so frequently? And do you feel like they have a point, or do you feel like they're doing too much? This is what we want to talk about today. I have an update in a police brutality case that went viral some time ago in 2020. There's another police brutality case that happened not too long ago, and I don't see it getting much coverage at all from the mainstream media. So I want to share that with you. Breaking news I have for you as it pertains to another school or students who were targeted, and there were some fatalities there. An update on yesterday's mass shooting, and so much more that we need to get into today. So it's going to be a great bus ride. I hope that y'all are proud of me. Your girl came on, quite early. Okay, y'all know I be trying to get better with the times. Okay, it ain't even 8 o'clock, and your girl is here. So look, if you're proud of your girl, hit thumbs up on the bus. If you appreciate my content, it is so free to donate and support. Hit thumbs up. Or if you don't want to hit thumbs up, you can send, $3, $5, $10 on Cash App. It's very easy. It's simple. And it's on the screen. Support Black media. Look, shout out to everybody in the live chat. I see all of you all here. Shout out to my channel members. Okay. And also shout out to my moderator. Shout out to Joy to the World, who rejoined the channel membership. Thank you so much. Your support is so much appreciated, and there is a lot more members only content that I will be pumping out to y'all. And y'all know we just added on a new series called the 5 o'clock ride that we do backstage for the members only. So it's lit backstage. Okay. So nonetheless, I'm glad that you all are here. Like I said, please get ready to call in via StreamYard. So you will need a decent/good internet connection if you would like to call in, and I'm open to anybody calling in, and you don't have to agree with me. A lot of people who already, who watch my channel, they already know how I feel about it. Okay. And so get ready for that. But listen, y'all, let's get ready for takeoff. It's time for us to get into these topics and to get into the show. Are you ready? Let's go.
The plainest Jane. This is one of my favorite comments here. She says, I loves me some black, and she said, loves me some black news. She says, is it just me, or does anyone else get tired of seeing people that don't look like them delivering info about them day in and day out?
Okay, and we're back. So this show, we got quite a few stops that we need to make on the bus. Y'all know when y'all are aboard the Black News bus, I talk about things that are going on inside of the celebrity world, outside the celebrity world, stuff that affects everyday people like you and me. Of course, I'm always sprinkling in some Black excellence and or some Black history. We got all those things in store for you all today. But I do want, because we do have quite a few serious stops to take off, I do want to get into just a quick little icebreaker, okay? Something that I saw circulating on social media. And I want to start off with just a little bit of nostalgia, okay? Y'all know I'm blackity black over here, and I'm unapologetic about that, right? And I have a question when it pertains to Black sitcoms from back in the day, because I saw this became a little bit of a debate online. So I'm gonna ask this question. I'm gonna ask that y'all comment as we begin to I finish housekeeping and we go ahead and get into the topics, okay? Now, was Frank Mitchell, the dad from Moesha, shout out to the people who know and watch the Black sitcoms growing up, was Frank from Moesha the worst Black sitcom dad ever? Like, was he? And if not, then who? And I'm like, okay, what other options do we have? We've got Will Smith's real dad, Lou, who we only saw like what, once or twice, that had, Will crying and doing that monologue, which is based off a true story, by the way. James Evans, right, from Good Times, and then we had Uncle Phil. I couldn't think about anybody else, but I'm curious if you feel like he was the worst TV dad of all time. Okay, cool. Let me know down below. But if you feel like he wasn't, then who? I saw a lot of people reminiscing on the fact within this, very heated thread, and they were saying that Frank called Moesha skank, and he was just mean to her for no reason. And he had a whole side baby and a family of his own. So how dare you call Moesha a skank when you've been cheating on D? Okay. How you gonna do that? So I want to know how you all feel about that. I thought it was I thought Carl Winslow from Family Matters did really good though. So I didn't think that he was even like a candidate for this question, because I never really saw Carl Winslow do anything that made you feel like he was a terrible dad. He came across my mind, but I never thought he was a terrible like dad. You know what I mean? So yeah, I saw it going kind of viral. I know, let me see. Tanya said, I can see why people say that because he presented himself one way, but when that revelation came up a few seasons later, he came off as hypocritical. I wouldn't say he was the worst though. Right. I think it makes a good conversation. A lot of people talk about James Evans. Y'all know he flared his nostrils up a lot. He wore them tight corduroys. Some people said he was like prone to violence. He like banged chairs up against the wall and things like that. So I'm interested to know how y'all feel about this conversation. I wish I had enough thought to make this into a whole video, but who knows? Based off of your comments right here in the live chat, and if you're chasing the bus, which means you didn't catch it and you're watching the replay, comment down below if there's enough dialogue going on and I really sit and think about some real candidates. We might be able to make this a 90s nostalgia throwback video that stands alone. But I thought this was a good question that had me thinking, like, dang, who was really the worst? I mean, I really think that Will Smith's father was the worst, to be honest. You only saw him twice. And it always had Will so, upset 2 times. And that was it. He was literally a deadbeat dad. And he always looked like he had just got from underneath of the car. So, it is what it is, It is what it is. But, it's interesting going back and thinking about the different qualities of the different dads of the different sitcoms that we watched. And it's easier to talk about them than to talk about our own sometimes, right? Because sometimes red flags and bad traits can be right in front of our face, but because it's wrapped in a pretty bow of a happy Black sitcom, we don't realize what was so wrong. Okay. So that was just an icebreaker question. Let me know, was he the worst dad? Yes or no? If not, what is your thought? But listen, we're going to pull this bus off real quick. I hope y'all are feeling all right. Y'all know I always mention mental health, right? If you haven't taken time to address your own invisible issues and your mental health, click off of this video and I'm going to catch you in the next one. Okay. You're going to catch a lot of content creators saying, get out of here, don't watch my video, but I'm going to be that one. Your mental health is more important than anything myself or the toxicity of social media in general has to say or share with you. Okay. I know I got some new subscribers. I just want to say thank you. And of course, before I get into breaking down today's topics and viral events, make sure you subscribe and thumbs up or down. Either way, I appreciate it. But don't forget to think critically and independently, regardless of what you hear from me or anybody else. Okay. Now, let's get into it. Okay, let's get into it. The trans community is trying to cancel Aretha Franklin. Trying to cancel, come against, they're trying to take some of her, and I won't even say the trans community because I'm not quite certain that it is the trans community in its entirety, but this is what we're here to talk about today, baby. And like I said, I'm going to open the phone lines. Okay. So here's what's really going on. Let's read this tweet and then we can get into the, you know what, Kim Porter is a good point. Or Kim Parker. I'm sorry. I was thinking about Good Times. Kim Parker's dad wasn't really there either. Living with his other woman, only came to take him shopping once. That's true. That's another good one. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so here's what's going on with the trans community, right? Here's well, a sector of it. I would like to call it a portion because I'm not quite sure that all of the trans folks are like 100% in unity and agreement and really standing by the stance, which I find to be pretty problematic. Here's what's being said. Aretha Franklin's 1968 song, Natural Woman, perpetuates multiple harmful anti-trans stereotypes. There is no such thing as a natural woman. This song has helped inspire acts of harm against transgender women. The trans culture mindfulness, we are requesting that it is removed from Spotify and Apple Music. Okay, so number one, this tactic, this notion, it's not new from certain parts of the trans community, right? And so to bring Aretha Franklin into it, I know Aretha got to be sitting up there looking down on us like, now how am I in it?
Now why am I in it?
And you could have did it.
See how I get wrong and
stuff? You never apologized.
First of all, there were several people who were of the community who felt really empowered by that song. Here's my number one point about this: for you to grab your nuts and say with your chest, there's no such thing as a natural woman. Well, if there's no such thing as a natural woman, then there will be no reason for you to categorize yourself and have to say trans woman. You're differentiating yourself because you know that you aren't a natural born woman, which, if we're going to be correct according to the terminology that the community continues to teach us about, is cisgendered. But everybody doesn't subscribe to the term cisgendered. But cisgendered and natural woman essentially mean the same thing. And there is some resistance from people who were assigned female at birth, from natural born women or cisgendered women, to not use that. They want to say, and I've heard them say several times again, I'm not a cis anything. I'm a woman. I'm a natural woman. And I think that they have that right. We bleed every month, right? And we have that right, you know, even though I will use the term cisgender just to be respectful, right? Because they're consistently teaching us how to be inclusive. But you give them an inch and they take them out. If there's no such thing as a natural woman, then there'd be no reason to distinguish that you are a trans woman. You see how that works? You see how that works? Per their logic, using the term natural woman is a crime. It's hateful and encourages harm. It's given struggle Olympics, and I want to be oppressed real bad. That's what it's given for me. That's what it's given. And see, here's the thing about it, because there's so many different dynamics to this. When it comes to trans folks in the community and they want to do outrageous stuff. The other day, I reported on the person who wanted to use male pronouns. They said they identified as masculine and male, but they had a one-night stand, so they were pregnant, but they were a man. Is that weird? Is it abnormal? Yes, it's definitely not something you see every day, right? And while some people were up in arms about it, I wasn't. I said, listen, we don't care. Is it strange? Is it something we don't see every day? Yes. So it's kind of like a car wreck that you see on the side of the road. Yes, we're going to stop and look. Yes, you're going to get people who are kind of puzzled at the person or the headline. But do we really care? No, it's not our body. We're not out here trying to claim male pronouns and do female stuff and all this other stuff. So some people might be outraged and maybe try to stop or speak against trans women. Or you know what, you can't even necessarily call them all trans women, because some of them don't even want female pronouns, right? They were born a woman, but they want to be considered a man, and they're taking testosterone, which is exactly what this story was, beard and everything, literally a whole beard, because they've been taking the, the hormones and things of that nature. And some people want to stop you from towing that line. You can't be a man or transition to a man and have a baby. I ain't trying to stop you from that, because who's it affecting? Not me. It's affecting you, your family, and that baby. That's who, not me. And so when it doesn't affect me, it doesn't affect, so there's no need for me to have any fake outrage about it. So there's no need for me to try to infringe upon your right to define yourself as a man, but have a baby. It's not something you see every day, and you know that, right? So I feel like sometimes that MO is just to do shit to gain outrage. And then to say, you people just don't want to accept me. No, we are surprised. We're shocked. I don't want to use the term freak show, but you know that it's abnormal what you're doing. However, I ain't trying to stop you, because I'm not the one carrying that baby with a beard and everything like that. It's not my life. So I can let you live in that aspect without trying to infringe on you I'm not out here trying to tell people who have transitioned from female to male not to have kids, because it's not my business how you live that life. I let that rock because it ain't me. But this is where some of them get out of line with it, and they feel like we picking on them and all this other shit. We wake up one day and all of a sudden Aretha Franklin was wrong for this song. This is where it gets out of hand. They try to stop us, cis women, from using the term breastfeeding. You need to stop saying breastfeeding, because you can be a man and have a baby. And so you need to be inclusive, and we need to change the language around the world, even the people who are assigned female at birth. And you need to say chest feeding, because if you say breastfeeding, it's exclusive. It's exclusive to us. Fuck that. When I spend my time sitting up there in labor and I'm using this breast that I was born with to feed my child, how dare you transitioning to and from and in and out of whatever the hell you want to do, tell me that I need to use a different term as to how I feed my child. No, that's to make you comfortable. I'm going to say what I want to say when it comes to my life. The same way you want to be a man, although you were born a woman and had that baby, and it ain't my problem, and I let you rock. It's the same way you need to let the term breastfeeding rock. You're trying to change the world's vernacular. It's bizarre to me. It makes no sense. And see, y'all pick these fights with cis women and then get mad when the divide and the wedge between us is so vast. Y'all want to be oppressed so bad, and it's a lot of shit that y'all need to be worrying about outside of the way and the terminology that cis women, natural born women use. It's bizarre to me. It doesn't make sense. There's a lot of shit y'all need to be worried about in y'all community. But I'm not there yet. They also tried to stop us from using the term mom or mother. They said use the term birthing parent, because, if the pronoun is he, him, then they're a dad and they can have a baby too. So using the term mom, that's offensive to us men who can have babies. So the whole world needs to stop and drop and stop using the term mom. They need to use the term birthing parent instead, because everybody that has a baby ain't a mom. They could be a father too. I'm going to need you to go on and get the fuck out my face with that shit. That's what I need you to do. because it's too much. Y'all just sit and y'all be bored, sitting up in my room, bored, trying to find ways to be oppressed. Now y'all get offended when women say, oh, yeah, we got periods. Oh my gosh, the men get periods too. You don't have to. These are not real world problems. Y'all want the world to bend to the difference in y'all terminologies and the way y'all come for cis women. And then if cis women respond, you're phobic. Oh my God, you're phobic. And I used to think it was complete lunacy when I heard people using the term heterophobic. But at this point, that's what it's given. Although I feel like the term can be tweaked a little bit, because you can still come for people who are assigned women at birth and they not even be hetero and you still be disrespectful. There are plenty of lesbians who have an issue with this shit too. These are not real world issues. Everybody, and this is where, right, the dire need to infringe upon our rights as cis or natural born women, and then to expect the world to bend to your language or lifestyle. This is why y'all have such a hard time trying to get people to meet y'all in the middle with learning new pronouns and classifications on y'all's endless quest to be inclusive. Okay, I can use the term cis. I've learned how to use the term assigned male or female at birth. I've learned how to use the right pronouns. I've made some adjustments to my language. But now y'all taking it too goddamn far. I can't say natural woman. This is why don't nobody want to meet y'all in the middle. And it's a problem. And it's not enough people in the community calling it out. It's always people on the other side, outside, who have to call it out. And then we get called phobic for responding to the bullshit that's thrown at us daily by people who do not bleed every month. By people who make up shit to be offended by. You add one or two things and y'all just keep tacking on, and it becomes less and less reasonable to the point where it becomes flat out stupid at times. It really does. It's giving oppression Olympics. It's giving y'all want to be oppressed and y'all want to have a plight so bad, and y'all start making up shit, and it's pathetic. And instead, what y'all really need to be worried about on some serious shit is issues under the flag, the predatory behavior that exists within certain people who label and categorize themselves within the LGBT community. You need to be worried about the pedophiles that use the flag as a loophole and as a shield to avoid being held accountable. Because when people define themselves and they use the flag as their personality trait, they're able to get away with all types of shit that harms children and targets children. And all of y'all are quiet about that, but y'all wake up and got these imaginary issues when it comes to cis or natural born women. And y'all want to fight that day in and day out. And the whole time, y'all's group has been infiltrated with pedophiles and molesters. But that's not what y'all want to spend y'all time talking about. And I'm sick and I'm tired and I'm tired and I'm sick. Leave Aretha alone. What is wrong with you? It's too much. It's too much. It's beyond being out of pocket. Do y'all agree with, like, what's going on in the chat? Don't say breastfeeding, say I was born with breasts, but I can't say breast. I gotta say chest when I'm feeding my child. If you don't go to hell on a first class flight right now, expeditiously, nonetheless, okay, I'm gonna open up the phone lines in a minute, but for now, we have a special guest, and they have a podcast that I think correlates with said subject, okay? And we're going to bring them up. We're going to hear what they have to say as the guest is speaking. I'm going to drop the link for other people to call in if you want to sound off. If not, that's okay. But this is where we're gonna move on swiftly and professionally on to the next part of the show. Okay. We're gonna go to the bush first, because baby, this is I halfway want to get Tyra. I should have got Tyra Banks earlier to cuss y'all out. But let's go to the bush and weep, and then we'll get into our guests.
It was gone.
Let me just go in.
It was gone.
Let me just go in the bush and weep. Let me just go in the bush and weep. I just have to go in the bush and weep. Really. I don't understand. I swear to God, I don't understand.
Child, here is our guest of the evening. What is going on? Unmute yourself. Hold on. Let me see if I can unmute you. Unmute your mic. Okay, there you go.
I'm sorry about that. Hey, chat, what's going on? Hey, beautiful, what's going on?
Thank you so much for calling in. I saw the name of your podcast in the description. I said, "Oh, I want to hear what they got to say about it."
Right on, right on. So first of all, I am a natural woman. Okay. I'm also a lesbian, and me and my lesbian girlfriend don't fucking understand. Let's just get that clear, good, and understood right now. Okay. Like you were saying, if I bleed every month, there's no way you about to tell me what I am and what I'm not about to refer myself to as, whether I'm straight, up, down, all my arrows going sideways. If I got a coochie, ain't no way in heaven, hell, or purgatory you gonna tell me.
Mm-hmm.
My podcast is called The Monthly. It advocates for all women, but with priority to my Black women. We're the number one race that passed before, during, and after childbirth. We're misdiagnosed in hospitals the most. All Black and brown people understand this plight. And I am a sufferer of endometriosis and PCOS. And I just want to bring to light a lot of the things. It's a lot of unjust societal norms that go with women's bodies, period. Point blank. So we don't need no trumped up, made up attacks like that. First of all, I know Mother Aretha is rolling in her grave. Let's start there. This song is 50 years old. This song was made when my mother was born.
Okay.
In a time where Stonewall hadn't really happened yet, and people were secretly in their houses putting on the lipstick and stuff, wouldn't dare go outside like that. So that's a whole totally different time capsule that they trying to make something out of nothing with. And like you were saying, it is way more pressing issues in the community that need to be tackled. And so I, for one, do not agree. Leave Mother Aretha alone. If I was her, I'm haunting her. Okay? I'm haunting everybody, because leave me alone. Like you said, leave me out of it. But there is no reason why one group of people should continuously attack another group of whatever people with especially things that don't matter, because that's something that does not matter. Like, you're just trying to get a conversation started. And I'm looking at the chat right now that's saying not all trans. I have a plethora of trans friends. I was straight before I was lesbian. So it's not like, oh, I'm just in one side and I just have one side of the pen. No, I know both sides of the tape. And there is no reason why somebody should feel like they should infringe on somebody else's anything. Yes, I breastfeed, chest feed. Yes, if I have a coochie, if you are able to reproduce, hold the child for 9 months and birth the child, you're a woman. And I don't get into labels, and I don't knock people for what they identify as. But you are what you are. And I was born a natural born woman. And like you said, no matter what you are, you were born a natural born whatever you were. And so I'm here standing in agreement with just leaving that part of history alone. That song is a part of history.
I mean, the song, the notion in itself. So, I mean, if we take that
the lyrics
out, we can't appreciate our womanhood.
Exactly.
We gotta dance around and play certain what can't say natural woman. What type of woman can we, like, we gotta dance around and find ways to celebrate ourselves. We don't even, I mean, for me, it's annoying to deal with all that we deal with. So when we celebrate it as a whole. Who wants to bleed every month? Who wants to deal with the cramps? Who wants to go through the pain of childbirth? You know what I mean? And these are things we deal with because we don't have a choice. There might be a beautiful ending at the end, which might be a child or whatever the case is. So for y'all to act like we can't and celebrate ourselves, but every time we turn around it's pride this and pride that, and y'all talking crap about cis women, it doesn't the math is not mathing to me. At this point, y'all trying to get on the scale where y'all trying to oppress us. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
I feel like essentially along with that, it attacks our blackness too. This is one more thing y'all trying to take away from us. I just don't feel like they would do that with Dolly Parton. I just don't feel like they would do that with a Dolly Parton song or somebody palm color of same stature with a song similar. I just don't feel like that's happening with another race. So why pick on us again and then again? The fact that we women. That's one what sliced against us. And then on top of that, it's black. It's a black woman too. It just so happens to be a black woman too. So no, I'm not for none of that.
It's just, I mean, concur. I don't. In one breath, we're supposed to let them be proud of expressing themselves, but we're supposed to be meek and quiet. We're supposed to listen to them and their problems and just get in line. But when we tell them, like, "Hey, that's infringing upon us," it's no, actually, or like, no, I'm not with it. I'm not believe. It's not one-sided. It's given white supremacist energy, and I don't care what color trans is coming from. It's given we want to be superior to y'all. Be quiet and be meek. Take what we give. Be quiet, and we want to be loud because people who are they be loud, proud, and it's their whole personality. And we're supposed to lay down and accept that and tuck our tail between our legs. And we are the portal to life around this joint. No.
You got better say something. I know that's right.
Not at all. I'm not with it. Let me see. Torian wanted to join. What's going on? And see, this is a guy, everybody, but I want to hear what he's got to say about it. He's a fellow content creator as well.
What's going on? And first off, let me just shout out to Chris for actually using my terminology, palm colored.
Okay.
I had to shout out, shout out to you. But when I first heard about this, I actually thought it was a parody. When I first saw it, I was like, is this real? And then when I started seeing articles pop up all over the place, I said, oh, this is very real. It's not fake. It's not phony at all. And the thing is, I've been doing commentaries about this for so long, for a couple of years, sporadically throughout my channel. And one thing I kept telling a lot of women, especially a lot of black women, I said, y'all better be extra careful because a lot of you are allowing them to get so close to you and get in your spaces, get in your circles. And before you know it, they're going to try to replace you. And look at where we are at now with this conversation. And I said, as a guy, I can only say so much because I have an XY chromosome. I'm going to call it out, but it's going to be up to the women to really call it out. That's why, Jane, I'm very glad that you're calling this out. I'm glad that the other women in your chat are calling this out. I'm glad Chris is calling this out because it needs to be more of you to say it because y'all can make your voices be heard. You can project it and say, hold on, this is doing too much. This is a lot going on. Think about the Leah Thomases of the world. Couldn't cut it competing against men in swimming, but they said, let me go ahead and transition, quote unquote, into a woman and compete against these girls. And that way I can win. And now they won all these awards. So it's a weird paradigm that is going on. It's like a weird shift that is happening. And when I saw that tweet, I said, are you serious? But the part that did get me was saying, there's no such thing as a natural woman. I said, well, if that's not the pot calling the kettle black, you're not even a woman.
Right. I mean, how are you a trans woman? Why do you have to distinguish yourself as a trans woman? Other than that, you just call yourself a woman, right? You enjoy the term trans woman because it makes you different from a woman, a natural woman. So the logic just doesn't make sense. It's too easy to debunk. It's way too easy.
It really is. And it's interesting that you brought up, white supremacy, because a lot of them are using, their whiteness plus another label and combining the two to try to get what it is that they want. And see, that's exactly how white supremacy works, especially if they feel like it's dying out. So they have to find a way to leech and latch on to something else in order to continue to push their narrative forward. And I'm sitting here saying this group is all the way in Norway. What connection they got to Aretha Franklin? I said, what's the black population? I said, what's the black population in Norway? Probably less than 1%. I would be surprised if it is 0.1% in Norway.
Yep.
It's the craziest thing. And I said to the men out there, we better be extra careful too, because it's one thing when they are infringing on the women, but like you were saying earlier, now they trying to say, oh, men can get pregnant too. I said, nah. I said, you ain't gonna try that. I don't know if you remember, Jane, it was a story that came out a couple years ago where it was a person who was born as a woman. They transitioned into that of a man. They ended up having a relationship or getting married to an actual biologically born man. They got pregnant and then they gave birth, and the doctors labeled this person as the mother. They got so upset because they got the label of a mother and not a father. They tried to literally make a mountain out of a molehill with that. I said the only male species that I can think of that can get pregnant is a seahorse.
It's a mess. I mean, it's playing every side of the fence. It doesn't matter to me when it's only affecting you. Like, for example, the article that came out a couple days ago, man gets pregnant, gives birth, has hormones, saw the picture of them, they had the beard, but they want to give birth. They gave birth and whatever the case is, and then saying I want to be considered a man, although I was born a woman. There's nothing wrong, I feel, with taking advantage of the woman parts I was born with, but I want to be called a man, a he and him. And I'm like, that's playing both sides of the fence. But you know what? If it's not affecting me, whatever. I really don't care. It's strange. But I really don't care. And then when it comes to us just, cis women sitting over here just minding our business, laughing at the daggone, P. Diddy and Carisha, and here y'all go trying to cancel Aretha Franklin. Like, what? Yeah. What the hell? How is me calling myself a natural woman? And then gonna say it encourages violence. And when we talk about the definition of reaching, that's it. Ain't no way Aretha Franklin's song. Somebody just out there trying to go after the trans. Aretha Franklin made that song called Women. Like, no, y'all are crazy.
And you want to know what's also so interesting too? Did you see that list that Rolling Stone came out with the top greatest 200 singers? As whack as that list was and as controversial as it was, when they were going to the top 10, Aretha Franklin was the number one, or how they ranked her as being the number one greatest singer of all time. Now, how ironic that after that list comes out, a couple weeks later, this happens as well.
Yeah, that's real interesting. It seems very strategic. It seems very strategic in a not so positive way, right? Like, yeah, it's very ironic that she was at the top of the charts, and all of a sudden they're trying to take a whole song off Spotify. Please, you show me in a news article where somebody caused harm against a trans person and went to jail and confessed and said it was that Aretha Franklin song that made me do it.
That sounds so asinine, man.
Yeah,
and that's why I resonate with the point where he says I thought it was a parody, because it does sound like that.
Yeah, it sounds like a bad SNL skit. And then when them trying to take her song off of Spotify and Apple Music, now you're cutting into her royalties. Right. Now you're cutting into the money.
Exactly.
And that's for her family, so they can continue to thrive, of course, with her being gone. So when you do that, that takes money away from them. So when you really dissect this whole thing, it goes much deeper than just them saying, this song is offending trans women. It's way deeper than that.
But you know what? Let's take a look at this real quick, though. Because now that I pull up the page... Okay.
Yeah, I went and did a little research and digging myself earlier before. Yeah.
This is the page, right? But let's scroll up to the beginning, because I do understand that some people do different things in order to keep their page up and active, right? Look at what's in the bio and look at when the page was created. Well, this page joined in 2009, right? It says join November 2009. But it says that this foundation was founded January of this year. Okay? Look what this says. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's parody or satire. And I'll tell you why. Sometimes you can say or do off the wall things on Twitter. And if you put parody or satire in your bio, Twitter will let it slide when you go to appeal if and when they try to delete you. Because all you can say the whole time, if you're spewing out hate or you're coming at certain people, if you have parody or satire, that can save you sometimes. But while there are some people agreeing with this notion, you know, you never know. Like this page is, I feel like this page does want attention. And part of me feels like for the rest of the week, I am going to be researching this foundation to see who's behind it. Are they really about anything, or do they just sit on this Twitter page and just talk stuff all day?
I find it interesting that they said that they joined in 2009, but they got founded in this month.
Right.
So what were you doing? So what were you doing between 2009 and this month of 2023? What were you doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is interesting, but they're basically they're calling out a lot of people. But this brings me to another point though, as it pertains to this subject, right? Beyonce recently had her tour over there or concert over in Dubai. So the trans community, or I'm sorry, not even the trans community, the LGBT community is calling her out because they feel like, okay, well, this is an area or a location. Matter of fact, I'm gonna pull up the tweet. And it's kind of easy to pick up the hypocrisy within some of what they're saying. Basically, what they're saying is Dubai isn't a place that's LGBTQ friendly. Okay. So here's this person who was a part of the community, and they say no beef, but I'm struggling to understand why Beyonce, who has $500 million, would accept $20 million to make her debut performance of the Renaissance album, a record which lifts heavily from the queer culture in Dubai, a country where LGBTQ rights aren't recognized. And the person goes on to say, I get it. Everyone wants their coin, but when you're that rich, is it that worth it? And so you go on and on. So it's like now they're attacking Beyonce because they feel like, oh, and I did hear, and I remember the undertones and the nuance of the LGBTQ inclusivity and homage, the dance music and everything else within Beyonce's Renaissance. But she did her concert in Dubai, and now they're trying to pick her apart. But here's the part where it seems like y'all just going after Black people. Why? This is a page where Lady Gaga is, and I did my research. Lady Gaga is their number one. They're Lady Gaga's number one fan, literally. Okay. And Lady Gaga also has performed in Dubai. Now, Lady Gaga has always been queer inclusive. Matter of fact, Lady Gaga's entire career has been off of the back of or adjacent to queerness. It's always been, dedicated to and right up next to queer people. And so there's never been a tweet from this individual about Lady Gaga. And it's very easy to go search someone's tweets based off of what they're saying and what they're searching. Lady Gaga has performed in Dubai quite a few times. So how come you didn't call out the white woman? Okay. But you get to call out Beyonce because it's convenient, because this Black woman is doing her damn thing and she's relevant right now. Make that make sense for me. I'm just saying, why are you only calling out the Black folks who praise and include the queer people and queer things in their music, but you can't call out the white people? I'm not having it. Leave Beyonce alone, okay? Not that Beyonce needs anybody to defend her, but it's easy to point out the hypocrisy, and y'all only want to pick apart Black people, Black things, Black music, Black musicians, Black extra talented artists. But when it comes to your white counterparts and the people who you stand, who do the same thing, it's crickets from y'all. It's a problem. It is a problem.
Like you said, there's white supremacy in that community.
Mm-hmm. It is. And yeah, and they're definitely doing some back end dirty work for whatever the white supremacists can't directly gauge or go at. They've got to find. I mean, they've got several different ways of coming at white supremacists. I mean, hello, when it comes to some of the greatest activists who have passed away, it's because white supremacists got the people of their circle and then have gotten there. But this is one of the many methods in which they come at black people. But what I find to be, go ahead.
And what they'll do is they'll hide behind their sexuality.
Yeah,
that's what they'll do. Like they'll again they know exactly who they are internally before they were whoever they were, and then they'll hide behind their label and then say, "Oh, I can't be this because I'm this." Is one person that comes to mind. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but his name is Milo Yiannopoulos. Does that name sound familiar to you?
Not really. Mm-mm.
He used to work for Breitbart. He used to be an editor in chief at Breitbart, and he's in what I call the academy, and he is another one of those people that hides behind his sexuality in order to spew his white supremacy. As a matter of fact, this guy is so tainted on a global scale that almost anywhere he goes, he gets banned. Like nobody wants to deal with him, because they know that he is bad for business.
Wait, that's not the guy who Kanye was on there and that got taken off YouTube or something?
No, that wasn't him.
Oh, okay. Because I sometimes I can remember some outlandish non-black folk who they just so outlandish that nobody allows them to go anywhere. Okay, so it's a different one. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is crazy. This comment says, hold on, there was another comment I wanted to pin. It says Dave Chappelle did say that they were going to add rainbow pins to their Klan robe. Good point.
Yeah, remember what happened with Dave Chappelle?
Yeah.
And guess what? Black men.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they pulled out all the stops over there at Netflix to try to get Dave Chappelle out of there, even as far as going into documents they wasn't supposed to go into. I'm like, you literally risked your good paying job at Netflix, a job that probably is hard to come by to get, just because your feelings was hurt.
Mm-hmm. It's sickening because again, they can we can say anything that we feel like is wrong that's going on within that community, but if we say anything, we're phobic. But they can say, again, cis women were sitting over here minding our business. Natural born women, we were sitting over here minding our business, and here they come. No consequence to the mess that they spew towards us. But when we respond to the craziness that they say, all of a sudden we're phobic. And if we say too much, a video might be taken down. Be taken down.
Yeah, and because when I think of the song "Natural Woman," by Aretha Franklin, which of course is like a very famous, world-renowned song, like it's probably been played hundreds, thousands of times over globally. I think of a couple of things because that song hits on multiple things instead of just one key note. It shows that this is a woman that is professing her love for a man that loves her in her natural state. I'm seeing that she's singing about women empowering themselves to be as natural as they can be. They don't have to do all the extra stuff. Just be who you are. Like that was like at that time, you know how they always like to say that there's anthems for women. That was an anthem for women back in the day for sure. Right. But it was almost like I said, it was an empowerment song and it was a love song at the same time. And it's very rare that you can take those two things and combine it into one song and get a classic out of a legend like that.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And it is. It's one of those things. It's nothing like a man who really loves you in your pure form, without makeup. You don't have to slick your baby hairs down and go get the whatever. If you're not locked, you don't have to necessarily go get the creamy crack. You don't have to be an IG model for him to really be enthralled by you. It's one of those songs that has multiple meanings, but especially back in that day and age, our hair has always been something that's difficult to maintain. Yeah. So, when you look back, and it's, first of all, in that day and age, yeah, the natural woman was a thing. I mean, just to speak real slightly, if you look at some XXX stuff from the 70s, everybody was bushed up, baby. They was bushed up. Okay, so it was one of those.
Hey, listen, you couldn't get more natural than that.
That's what it was about. So it was like, just embracing your natural state. Now we at the point where, I mean, some people do still like that, but it is what it is. Preference is preference, and that's one of those songs that really was an ode to the brothers who really made us feel super sexy and done up, even if we weren't heavily processing and taking all this time to do all of these extra things.
Yeah.
I know I don't come on camera. Go ahead.
And see the thing is, back in the day, a song like that was right on time, because it was at a time when especially a lot of Black women felt like they had to wear their hair a certain way because society told them that that's how they were supposed to look. But then it was like, wait a minute, I don't have to look like that. So let me go ahead and like take the wig off, take off all the excess makeup and grow this fro out. And then it became a staple, because then when you think about the Blaxploitation era of the 70s, which was just a whole cornerstone of itself within Hollywood, that's what you saw a lot in those movies. I mean, Pam Grier, come on now.
Mm-hmm.
Pam Grier was literally the Halle Berry of her day. I mean, like every woman wanted to be like Pam Grier, and damn it, any man wanted to sleep with her. So I mean, why wouldn't it? And not just even her, but so many other people, especially of that time period. That's why I keep telling people, sometimes I feel like I was born in the wrong era. I feel like I should have been born in the 70s, or at least the late 60s, so I could experience the 70s, because that just seemed like an interesting time. That's always a time I always bring up to my parents and ask them, what was it like growing up in the 70s? And they always tell me it was just a good time.
Yeah, it looks like it, because that was that hippie era.
Yeah,
that carefree era.
Exactly.
So it is what it is. Let me just say this before you go, because I just want to address somebody that's windmilling in the comments that probably came late, because it doesn't matter when, if, and how I speak about these topics. This is a heavy-hitting, trending topic. Everybody else in the LGBT community is not trending. However, rewind the video, if you will. If you care to do just a smidge of homework before you come in here and speaking when you late and you to miss things. It's like going to class late and asking questions that the professor had already spoken about. You look a little, you weren't here for it all. So what I said in the beginning and when I got into this subject was, I don't think that this is all of the trans community. And matter of fact, it's not even the feeling of the entire community. I'm adjacent and I'm friends with a lot of people who are a part of the community, but they're not a part of the T part of the community. So I didn't even say it was all of the trans people. And I specifically said, I don't think that it's all of the trans people. I don't think that they're all uniting on this notion. I think that it is a sector of them, and this is what they feel, and this is what is trending. Aretha Franklin is trending because of this topic. So nobody's lumping the entire community together. You see, because listening and comprehension is very important. I think one of the worst things that happened to this country is no child left behind. Baby, they just passed everybody, and people just didn't learn certain things. So it's important that you understand what's being said before you jump into a conversation with your panties in a bunch without understanding the full context of said dialogue. Okay. And so Aretha Franklin is the topic of discussion today because of this page. Okay. Or because of this tweet. And the percentage of people who agree with it, who I said in the beginning, I don't think that it's a whole bunch of the trans, but it is some of the trans, and it's similar to the echoes and the things that have been said in the past by said community. So, if you want to call in and have a conversation and speak your piece, then call in and have a conversation and speak your piece. But don't be in the comments halfway informed, making assumptions that are incorrect about myself or anybody lumping the entire community together, because I have plenty of friends who are part of the LGBT community and they don't feel like this. And as a matter of fact, they feel like it is ridiculous. So, just saying, if you want to bring some common sense with you, bring it. If you have it. If not, I understand why you acting the way you acting in the comments. Okay. All right. Had to get that clear. Okay.
I said Jane about that. I said Jamisha about to pop right on out.
I'm like, I seen one comment. I seen another comment. I'm like, let's address, because every time, even when I do issues under the flag, you think we're all the same? You think pedophilia is? No, I don't. You're not listening. I said this is a small section of people who, you know, kind of give a bad light because nobody's calling it out. So it seems like y'all enjoy y'all's community being infiltrated with people who do these low down dirty things, and it's not all of you all. It is a small percentage, but they're doing some of the most egregious things you can imagine, such as the story that you sent me that I'm going to touch on tomorrow. And people don't like to listen. All they hear is, you talk about my flag, you talk about my community, you talk about this. I'm talking about the people who infiltrated and who give it a bad look, but at no point am I saying that all of y'all are like that, because I know y'all aren't. Otherwise, some of my years-long friendships wouldn't exist if I really felt that about everybody who was a part of the community. Listening is very fundamental. Okay.
But Jane, before I get off, did you see what I sent you?
Yes, I did. I'm gonna cover that story. I'm gonna cover that story tomorrow. I wanted to do it in a separate one.
Look, I had did an update on it tonight at 6, and this is the first time I ever did a thumbnail that just had text on it. I couldn't even bear to put their pictures up there on the screen.
Yeah.
Many people didn't even know what I was about to talk about. Mm-hmm. And like that story, I'm sure you gonna go in on that tomorrow. So to the people in the chat, y'all better make sure y'all are locked in and leaned in on Jane's channel tomorrow, because y'all are about to get an earful. It's probably going to make some. I'm gonna be honest. The story is so sick that some of you may have to mute the video. Some of you might have to walk away from the computer or your laptop. Some of you probably won't even be able to get to the whole stream. It's that intense. I'm just giving y'all a heads up right now. It's probably one of the worst type of stories of its kind ever. It's that bad. Just take my word on it. I'm not even over exaggerating it.
Yeah, it's horrible. So I said I gotta wait to cover that. I gotta make sure I'm strategic. I didn't want to just come on and do it the next day. Sometimes I can do a story the same day or the next day I hear about it. Other times I gotta give myself time to cool down, process it, and present it in a way that is more calm than full of emotion. And that's one of those things where I had to take a little bit of time, for sure.
Right. But I appreciate you bringing me up, though.
No problem. Thank you for calling in, and I'll talk to you next time.
All right.
All right. We got our next caller. There was someone else backstage that just left, but we do have another caller. Oh, no, Jamal Johnson is still right there. Jamal, let me get you in 1 second. Ronald Ray, what's going on? You're live on the air. What do you have to say about the topic?
How are you?
I'm good.
How are you? How is everybody?
Good. We're good.
All right. Yeah, I really appreciate your commentary, and I really appreciate you going straight to the ridiculousness of it all. I pretty much ran away when I was a child and was in the midst of the LGBT community because I was amidst a bunch of Black folks who basically showed me love and compassion. And in the process of intermingling with these people as a homeless child, they basically let me know from the beginning. I was in Philly at the time, right off the bat, that we were a very divided community. I don't identify as LGBT. I still identify as a regular man. And the thing about it is, but I was open to being kind to all people, and especially Black people, because we had some horrific experiences going on as far as separation, as far as race back then. And I just felt an automatic need as a child to be there with my people if I was going to leave the abusive situation that I was in as a child. As a runaway, I still had a deep connection to Black people, Blackness, as I am Black, and compassion and empathy for us, men, women, and all, you know? Mm-hmm. And right off the bat, the Black women was there and Black LGBT men were there as support. And right off the bat, those Black men gave me clear warnings to protect myself from the people who were not Black that were LGBT. Right off the bat, I thought because these people were Black and they were LGBT that they had family amongst their folks. as a child, I had experienced the heterosexual racism first. So I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm around these black gay people. Maybe the other people that are gay, maybe they have some kind of community, some kind of love for one another, of all races. Maybe they have some unity that the straight world don't have.
I see.
And them black people let me know right away, and all the other homeless teenagers that was out there with us.
Wow.
They let us all know, baby, y'all can't go in there, or y'all can't go over there, or y'all have to stay away from over there. So I'm talking about a 90% black situation where I was being warned, and there were a couple of handfuls of Latinx people who was forced to be amongst us too, because the whites over there, they didn't want none of us around. The LGBT people, they only wanted white folks. And if you was black and you was amidst them, you had to denounce your blackness in order to be friends with them.
Oh.
And you dealt with much bigotry if you was one of them. You had to be a anti-black person to even be in their presence.
Wow.
And they really didn't even want them around. Those were some step and fetch it folks that would be their friends. And they would tell us, their clubs, their places where they have their gatherings. They would tell us, baby, don't go over there. You're gonna deal with an outright bigotry.
Wow.
They would let you know. And I, as a teenager, I smoked a joint one day and was just by myself walking. And I said, let me stop in here and grab me a drink. And right off the bat, they gave me the look like, I know this young man is not coming up in here. And it was a lily white establishment downtown in Philly in one of their areas, one of them LGBT areas. And as soon as I got what I got, the man right in front of me and the rest of the bar smashed my glass. And they all looked right at me and would not take their eyes off me until I left the place.
That's crazy.
So,
you were a part of a community, but you couldn't be a part of
baby,
a certain color of the trauma. Wow.
You talking about some more trauma? Oh, and I'm already was hyper depressed, manic depressed with personality disorder, rambling, ADHD, and all kinds of mental problems I had. This sent me straight into a dark depression. And I went amongst those other black people and I was letting them know, like, you guys were right. And it was that way in many of their establishments. Once I got older in my teenage years, I started noticing, like, wow, I started seeing the black people all crowding into like maybe one or two places that were theirs. And these places were usually like an unmarked place with just a door, and only the black folks knew that was the little spot, and you had to go in. You couldn't be outside of the place in some ways, or or only in certain areas. Other than that, you had to go straight in there and be amongst your own kind.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to educate people that back in that word city of brotherly love really meant city of folks that look like you as your brother. Those were who you hung around.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw segregated communities, neighborhoods, and people, and segregation within that group right then. And then when I left Philly and went to Texas, same scenario. Black people over there, white ones over there. When I went to Delaware, same scenario. Black folks over there, whites over there. The LGBT gays in Delaware didn't even talk to black people. Black people had their own bar downtown in Wilmington. They had their own little bar, and that one was a lesbian bar, and they would just allow the gay men to come and mingle among them. The black gay men didn't even have their own establishment. Mm-hmm. And the LGBT white men, they had their establishments, and they did not want you there. And if you went in there, they would not talk to you. Unless they was coming over there to pay you and use you for sex and get rid of you. They wanted nothing to do with you. They didn't want to be seen with you. They didn't want you mingling with them. None of it. You was their door. You was their security at the door, and that was about it. They didn't want you working in their establishments. They didn't want you living in their properties. Wow. They didn't want you around. Late night, they might use you for their as a lot of black people are used fetishized and then discarded.
Wow. I mean, you've got a lot of experience, and I'm so grateful to hear about that. Yeah. I do have another guest back here, and I'm not asking you to go because I would appreciate having a couple people.
Oh yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah, I
Yes.
want you to stay. I want you to stay on the panel, but there
Yes.
is somebody else back here. I think it's Q
Yes.
Delilah. Q Delilah. And I
That's what
wanna
makes it more ridiculous for them to mess with you.
I want to hear from them, and I want to have more than one person who is
Yes.
of the community, so that we can have a meaningful dialogue pertaining to the subject, because I do think that it'll be great.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
what I'm gonna do is just 60 seconds, pay the spill real quick. We'll come right back, and I'm gonna bring Q Delilah up. So I hope they can hear me and they know that they're next. I'm bringing them up. Okay. And we're going to be right back. Listen, if you haven't taken a moment to hit thumbs up on this video, I don't know what you're waiting for. Hit the button, okay? If you don't want to hit thumbs up, baby, send $3, $5, $10 to Cash App. But no, we're going to be right back. We're going to bring up our other guests. It seems that they disagree with the general consensus of a stance that we presented here. And I do want to get into a meaningful, non-aggressive dialogue. So keep it locked. We'll be right back. Get into this Black-owned business, Stickies. It's got things for inside your home, outside your home, and even on the go. JasmineMadeIt.com is your new destination for Black Girl Magic mugs, tumblers, and even wine glasses. You can even customize the tumblers and wine glasses. There's a lot going on for a low price over at JasmineMadeIt.com. And if you've been serious about wanting to support more Black-owned businesses, here's your chance. Let JasmineMadeIt.com handle all your problems for family and friends. You ever had a friend over and they just wasn't catching the hint or paying the rent?
Y'all asses all get to stepping.
Yeah, tell them to get to stepping with this nostalgic Martin-themed doormat, and shop over a dozen different doormat designs over on JasmineMadeIt.com. All right, Stickies, you know what time it is. It's time to put your money where your mouth is and shop Black today. Make life easier for you and your household by taking your family's hot or cold beverages on the go with one of these unique tumblers. It's insulated to keep your beverage at temperature, and it comes with a few different reusable straws and even the specific brush that you need to wash it, so you can keep it sanitized and germ-free. They've got all kinds of designs to match your mood or style. So grab something for your wife, the hubby, or even the kids over on JasmineMadeIt.com. That's JasmineMadeIt.com, and I'll see you over there. All right, and we're back. And as I always say, you can use code Jane for 10% off of your purchase. Okay, so without further ado, let's bring up Q Delilah. How are you today?
I'm good. And how are you, Jane?
I'm good, and thank you for asking. What are your thoughts on this subject?
Okay. So I just want to start off by saying I don't actually disagree with you, and I did come in late. I did come in late. I will admit that. So I did miss some context of what of what happened in the first beginning of of the live. So I will be honest about that. So what I will say is around like the whole natural woman and stuff like that, I'm not a part of the T, you know what I mean? I'm a cisgender male, you know what I mean? I am a gay male. So I do, see it from a little bit of a different perspective. So for me, it's just that this whole situation, no one is really like, real trans people are saying like, oh, well, I think I'm a natural woman, or there shouldn't be a song named The Natural Woman. This song has been around for years. No one has ever had a problem with it. Real trans people, like real people who are going through the trans experience, they understand what it is. You know what I mean? Just like how, people will be like, oh, well, you don't understand biology. Well, you have someone who knows that their biology doesn't fit with what their mind is saying. So for me, it's just like, I feel like trans people know who they are, what they are, where they are. Are there some trans people who think that they can get periods and all that other stuff? Yes, but most trans people don't even really like associate with them. Those are they are fringe, like anything within the community. There are fringe people who do kind of believe, oh, well, you should call women breeders and stuff like certain words like that, which I don't agree with. That's not my idea, but I do understand that there are some trans people who don't, who feel like, oh, well, there shouldn't be a song named Natural Woman. What is it to be a natural woman? This, that. But when people say stuff like that, you're trying to co-opt and invalidate the experience of, I don't know if you go by cis women and stuff like that, biological women, whatever you want to call them, that invalidates those women too. You know what I mean? So you can have your experience without invalidating someone else's. So that's just how I kind of like feel about it, and I go about it, and I'm kind of seeing things. And it wasn't like I was coming at you with the comments. I was kind of just like standing in general, because sometimes when we have these conversations, everyone gets lumped in. You know what I mean? It's like, even though you can say some, not all, when certain people hear trans people, they just hear all trans people. You know what I mean? When some people hear gay people, they just hear all gay people. They don't want to hear, okay, well, is this certain set of gay people or this certain set of trans people that think this way? They'll just lump everyone in together. Just like me, I don't have, just like the word breeder and stuff like that. I don't use those words, because those to me are derogatory to certain people, because that's literally invalidating them. So for me, it's always been, be accepting of everyone, but also don't try to invalidate someone else's experience. They are natural born women. Okay, I mean, yes, that's something, that's a true statement that we already know. So for a fringe group of trans people, that might rub them the wrong way. But even looking at I know that you pointed out earlier that it said parody and satire. And yes, you're right. Sometimes that parody satire do be placed just to make transphobic, homophobic, bigoted comments, just to pass it off as, oh, well, I was just being, funny about it. It was just a parody. It was just, it was just satire. So there are people who use that as the guise to try to push harmful rhetoric, basically. Mm-hmm. But I feel as though this was more like a thing that some trans people might have believed and might have thought and might be putting out there. But for the majority of trans people, like the people that I follow on TikTok that were talking about this situation, they were like, this is crazy. I love this song. This song is talking about what a woman feels. It's not what she is. It's not what a woman is supposed to be. It's about how this man is making this woman feel while she's in relationship. You know what I mean? Like, even if you look at the lyrics, it's not telling you about what a woman is. It's telling you about how a woman feels. So you can't invalidate someone's feeling with your own facts. That's something that that you can't do.
Mm-hmm. Where you from? I hear the way you say "do."
I'm from Baltimore. Baltimore all the way.
Oh, you don't follow my channel. I'm from Baltimore.
From the west side.
Too. That's why I'm like, dude. That's how we say it. Okay, yeah. I'm born and raised here, and I'm still here. Okay. Yeah. So a couple of points that I have to make in regards to what you're saying, right? I do find plenty of trans people who I won't even say plenty. I'll find enough to have a decent amount of visibility, should I say, that want to be inclusive with cis women so bad that they do fight us, right? And I said in the beginning, and I say this in the beginning of all of my issues under the flag segments and all that, and I said in the very beginning of this video, because I'll come into my video, I'll give you an itinerary of the top subjects we'll be talking about, and I said, I said, I don't believe this probably isn't all of the trans, but it's a certain sector of the trans. I said, it's definitely not the whole LGBT. It's just a percentage of the T. And so even if we take this Aretha Franklin thing out of it, it kind of just adds to the fire of ludicrous things and notions that have been said, and done when it comes to stuff that's offensive to us natural born women. They do like the art. Some of them do like to get on and argue about, and unfortunately, some of the ones that like to argue about having periods or whatever the case is, they have more of a platform. They want to talk about chest feeding and how you're, wrong if you don't use that term. They want to use the term birthing and things of that nature. And what really did it for me was a couple of months ago, there were two of them who had deals with Always and Tampax.
I remember that.
And so, of course, that upset natural born woman, because if you like, it's no different than a white person dressing in blackface to get a role of a black person, because it's like, why couldn't you choose somebody who was naturally or whatever? And so the reaction from us cis women was, this is absurd. Y'all don't get periods. And then all these debates start spreading from, and think you can even Google who can get a period right now. Google will tell you periods are not just for women. It's for, because Google to change, because they want to be ad friendly. They want to make sure they can get as many ads as possible. So
well, I think when we talk about such things like as periods, I think the reason that they kind of moved away from just women is because we also have trans men. And there are some trans men who still get their periods, so they don't want to really call it feminine products, because
those are the people who don't talk about it. We're talking about
that is true. That is true. I find usually
male to women. There was a video I saw not too long ago. They went from assigned male at birth to they wanted female pronouns, and they were doing all this stuff about, oh, my period is here and da da da. And that can be, and so my whole point, to wrap this up, is it's only cis women calling out the problematic behavior that is offensive to us. And I mean, not to say women are more emotional than men. Some may agree. Some may, I feel like every human, my cat is emotional and he a boy. But, women, we can be emotional. We're the only one fighting this fight. There's nobody in the LGBT community who's going to stand up and call that out and be like, listen, stop. Enough is enough. Because if it was, we would be retweeting that person, playing that person's video, saying, I stand with XYZ. So it's only us. And we might not have all of the right terminology, because we're done trying to learn terminology, because at this point, they're just trying to flip our vocabulary, right? Because I learned 3, 4, 5, 8 new words of terminology. And now I can't say natural woman either. It's like, fuck this. We're done trying to meet y'all in the middle. You know what I'm saying? So why is it that, cis women are the only ones trying to fight this or correct? Because we're supposed to listen to the cries of trans people and their struggles and what they go through. We're supposed to understand, what makes them feel so held back by society. And then when things are done that are harmful by a certain percentage, not all, a certain percentage. I could even maybe even say a small percentage. It just so happens that that's a small percentage that gets a lot of visibility. When cis women end up trying to address how that makes us feel and how it hurts us, it's no, be quiet. You're not being inclusive. You're being
you get called transphobic.
It's crazy. So there's nobody really stepping up for us but us.
I definitely understand that, and I think it's because for me, like, trans men are out here and they're doing the work, but I feel like that work isn't really like pushed in the mainstream. If you really think about it, a lot of the bathroom bills, a lot of like who gets like transitioning and stuff like that is really a lot of focus on male to female. It's very focused on, oh, it's a man in the bathroom and this, that, it seems like trans women are the focus. And I understand that, because I mean, for women, you want to feel comfortable. I understand, like, if you feel as though you want to call something out, I feel as though you should be able to call it out without being, called transphobic. As long as we're being respectful, obviously, about, the other side, there are ways to go about saying things and doing things that aren't seen as transphobic. You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of this stuff, even within my own community, trans women are kind of like are pushed to the side or treated horribly, you know what I mean, and within the gay community. You know what I mean? And for me, I don't really know what can like what we can do, because as time goes on, and as we can see, more and more people are coming out as trans. So it's not going to go away, you know. So it's just it's gonna keep growing. More people are going to come out as trans, and then we're still going to be having these conversations that's not moving forward. Like, what are some solutions that we can put in place that would move this conversation forward? Because if we can't just keep having the same conversation of, oh, well, I don't want men in my bathroom. Okay, but what about trans? What about trans males? They have to, you know, if you have a trans male that looks male and y'all saying, okay, he has to go to the bathroom, he's going to be going to the same bathroom. So you're going to have a man in the bathroom with you either way, right?
Right. The fact of the matter is, it is going to keep growing. And the bottom line is we need a third bathroom. That's the bottom line. We need a third bathroom.
In actuality, I agree with that. I do believe that there should be a unisex bathroom. And in some countries, they actually have that. Like in certain places in Europe, they have unisex bathrooms. They have a female option, a male option, and then they have a third option, which is unisex. So I feel as though maybe that should be the future, because, you know, as we can see, the conversation around it, women are never going to feel comfortable. You know, it doesn't matter how much someone transitions, as long as a woman knows that you're trans, she's not going to feel comfortable around you. I just feel that way, I mean, especially in the context of bathroom.
I mean, it that varies from woman to woman. That's not like that. That's a blanket statement, and that's not, you know, if we need a third bathroom, number one, let's start there. But that's relying on every building and every school and every workplace putting in that third bathroom. And that's going to take time. What can we do outside of rallying around and petitioning and making sure that we make enough noise to get that third bathroom? Because we all want to be comfortable. If that's what it takes to get women comfortable, then best believe women are going to stand by that. Women will rally for that. Women will make sure they go to Congress and they go out with their pickets and do whatever they need to do to get that third bathroom. That's not only just a fight for people who identify as trans. At the end of the day, I want to be comfortable. I want my daughter to be comfortable. I want my little sister to be comfortable. I want my niece to be comfortable. And so if it takes me to petition to say you need, because there's a lot of stuff in between gay and straight, or assigned male and assigned female at birth. There's so many things in between. It is too confusing. I don't even have to sit and sort through all of it to understand. I don't have to know every classification to know that we need a goddamn third bathroom in 2023. However, outside of that, another solution, since you bring it up, is cis women shouldn't be the only one calling out the issues and some of the bigotry and near white supremacist shit that comes out of a select portion of trans or some of the gay community's mouth. We should not be the only ones, because that puts us at a disadvantage, because off rip, they're coming in defensive, like, oh, you over there looking at it. No, like, we're the only one fighting this fight, and therefore we're getting all of this. And I don't see nobody who's a part of the community standing up and saying enough. I see there's a lot of cis women holding these spaces and saying enough is enough. And then you'll find 1, 2, or 3 TS Giselle or whoever on Twitter Spaces coming to your space and try to dismantle it, because they feel like, how dare you heterosexuals had this conversation about us gay people, and we shouldn't be the only ones fighting this fight. It is disrespectful, and I've heard several people who are my counterparts, you and others, say it's not right, but they're not willing to make any noise about it, and that's part of the problem.
I actually agree with you. For me, I do feel like everyone has their own space. Is there some spaces where, you know, the two intersect? Yes, I do believe that there is space for, you know, both, you know, cis women and trans women to come together and have that space. I do believe that, but I don't believe that, you know, everybody should be in every single space and you know, all that type of stuff. Like, I do believe that everyone has their thing. You know, you can't sit with everyone. You know,
no, that's true. And it's not a requirement of everybody. You got some that are very, very talkative, very bold, have a platform. They use their gender or sexual identity as a whole personality trait, and there's so many talkative and bold, and they pop off at the mouth at anything going on in social media. But when it comes to something going on in their own community, all of a sudden you hear crickets. That's weird.
That is true, and it bothers me a little bit too, because I have seen certain situations where, you know, there's people who are a part of the community, and they do something horrible, and then no one is talking about it. You know what I mean? Just like last week, the two gay guys who were activists and all this other stuff, and turns out that they were doing things to their two adopted sons. You know what I mean? I don't see a lot of people talking about that. You know what I mean? Especially in the queer spaces that I frequent. I'm not even going to lie. I don't see people talking about, and I think a little bit of that is because of when stuff like that happens, it puts a focus on on us. Like, once we start calling out those people, it almost seemed like, oh, well, you wasn't saying that when they was around, and did that, and you were trying to cover it up. It almost makes us feel like, okay, well, you almost are complacent in what is going on over here. Even if we don't know nothing about it, it's almost like even though when we want to call it out, it's almost like we don't want to call it out, because then we get lumped in with all the other all the other BS.
Again,
but it's like, you still need to call it out, though.
That's part of the problem. Y'all don't want to call it out because y'all feel like y'all lumped in, and it's, you know, when Black people are killing Black people on the streets, that needs to be a serious conversation that Black people have about how we need to stop being so fucking violent, how we need to put the guns down. Does it make all of us look bad, or do we feel like, damn, this makes us hell? It's shit going on in Baltimore. You know, if you still here, there was just a little boy at the high school that I went to in the 10th grade who got killed yesterday. And I can't sit and not talk about Baltimore news because I'm afraid that that's going to make me look bad. Because if you avoid the conversations, you avoid the difficult, and really having these dialogues that's really going to spark the mind and change your mind to really help this shit get better. And so we look like the villain from the outside of because we don't want the white people to come into the Black community and talk about how Black people need to stop killing each other. We say, mind your fucking business and shut up. That means we as Black people need to start having these difficult conversations. And it's no different when it comes to the queer community. I get it. Y'all are afraid to have these certain conversations about certain things because you're afraid to get lumped in. But then y'all look at me like I'm the villain because I'm not a part of the community, and I have the conversation. Well, which way is it? Because at the end of the day, y'all community has been infiltrated with pedophiles and with all types of harm towards cisgendered women and cisgendered people. So at what point do y'all start having these difficult conversations to make the change instead of leaving us to hang out to dry and be the villain? And again, y'all, you know, and I'm not saying y'all like you, but in general, it's just like, I've never seen people more bold and more courageous to speak up about certain things than y'all. Y'all have made a lot of progress. Y'all got a certain bill. Y'all can go to a job and say, people are discriminating against me because I'm gay. And y'all have a certain level of protection. Black people don't even have that level of protection yet. So there's a certain level of unity that you all have within y'all community, a certain level of power that y'all only want to assert to certain
Can I respond to you? Oh, yeah. The thing that is deep about what you're saying, because it's real, I found out recently being here in New York, as far as the gay and LGBT, I met with a group of Black men here who identify as same gender loving because they were so outcast from the LGBTQ community. Because here in New York, like I spoke to you about those other cities that have Blacks aren't allowed situations in the LGBT communities, they also have them here. I went on Christopher Street and had a pretty traumatic experience. They got a gay bar down there, and a couple of them, and those Black people would be in those spaces. But then the place right across the street from there is 99.9% white. And the same thing I experienced in Philly and Delaware. As soon as you open that bar door, they're looking at you like, I don't know what you coming in here for. And this place is right across the street, and this is right on Christopher Street. And they look at you like, what is this Black ass coming in here for? And the Black people were so comfortable and used to it, they would be like looking at you funny even if you went over there. Right. And they have this thing where you have to have the real ID to go into these places. Like, You can't use like your regular, like maybe an EBT card with a picture on it or any other kind of card to get in. You have to have an actual driver's license to get into these places. They even segregate among their own people. So it's like the only way that some kind of action could take place is if you come into contact with black folks that are thinking like-minded, like you are thinking that something needs to be said. Because in the community, it's like you said, it's going to be a certain wall of silence because there's prejudice even in our community. They were just talking about how when people go out on certain sites to meet with people for whatever they want to meet with them for privately, they got the no blacks, no Chinese, no fat people, no Latinx people, no femmes, no bottoms. You got to be hyper masculine only. Other than that, don't respond to me. You know, all of that kind of bigotry going on. So it's an anti-feminine gay situation going on in the gay community. They don't respect you unless you're a hyper masculine alpha male. Other than that, you look down upon. The bottom shaming going on.
That's why a lot of gay men don't even respect trans
I'm
women.
not even a part of the community no more. I left all of it. Because I used to just be around them because they people. You know what I'm saying? And I just, as a runaway, I gravitated towards the black LGBTQ people. Once I started experiencing all this racism, all this anti-this and anti-that within the community, I said, well, why am I here? Because now I'm re-traumatizing myself the same way the white people and the Latinx people traumatize me every time I'm in their presence. So I'm not. So I've been basically giving myself therapy by being in solitude.
Debbie has been waiting for a long time. Let me just see. Hey, Debbie, do you have anything to say?
Hi. I've been trying to figure out your name. I can't understand. I want an explanation for your name sometime because I know you have it spelled a particular way for a reason. But plainest, you're anything but plain. I just want to say you're beautiful.
Oh, thanks. My name is Plain.
Okay, so white, straight, leaning. I don't know how I lean politically. It changes. Kind of independent, but I don't understand all this hate in this world. As soon as we solve one little problem, 3 more pop up, and it seems like now. And I knew this was coming about 12 years ago when the gay community said all they wanted was, just all the same rights and blah, blah, blah. And they would do nothing more, Mm-hmm. They just wanted to live like everybody else and love who they wanted to love. And, okay, fine. But now you see, they just keep pushing it further and further and further. My child came home from her 5th grade girl talk, and they had a trans speaker. And she said it got very graphic about what gay and trans people do sexually. We weren't even informed as parents that was going to happen.
They was explaining, what was they doing? Was they reading a book or what?
He was like, she said that there was a man up there that, she said he's not a gay. He had the gay voice is what she said. No offense intended. She's only 11. But they had the regular stuff, the kind of stuff that we learned, but they get more graphic nowadays. They don't hold back, like we did in school. They bring out sex toys and condoms and the whole bit. They bring them out in a box and they show them. And they teach our children that it's okay to have vibrators. And in my house, that's not okay. But and then a man got up and did a big speech about, well, I know there's a percentage of you that are this and that, explaining all the different genders. It just infuriates me that they won't just let parents do this, because I've done a really good job with her, with raising her to be just inclusive, period, with everybody. And so why are schools going this far? They have drag queens doing library day now. And it's gross. They just keep pushing further and further and further. And now they have, what is it called? There's a name for it, for pedo.
Maps, or I don't know.
I think that's what it is. I'm shaking. I'm so mad right now just thinking about this.
Yeah, they've got the
consider it
minor
not a
attracted
crime.
person.
Yeah, they consider grown people with children as not a crime, but a sexual orientation.
Right, yeah, that's the minor attracted persons. They're trying to add the M to the end of the LGBTQ synonym or acronym. I'm sorry, acronym, because they're trying to normalize being attracted to minor persons, and that's some of the stuff that I don't hear the LGBT community speaking up about. But there's,
No, because they're all.
Can I say something?
They're anti-white. They're anti-black. They're anti-Muslim. I don't understand why the gay community supports the Muslim community, because the Muslim community hates gay people. That's in their Quran. And wow. I don't understand. Well, these are just some Muslims that I know that told me this, that they don't understand it because in their religion, that being gay is a sin. And then if they were like in their home country, that they would get killed for that. And I don't know if that's true.
It is.
Okay. See, I'm as ignorant as anybody else about a lot of this stuff. So if I'm wrong on that, please correct me.
Because it stands in the way of procreation, and procreation is a part of spreading Islam, because Islam is supposed to grow naturally through men and women having relations. That's the main part of it.
I just saw a video about it, and they were killing gay people for that. And I was like, wow. So she's all like, wait.
And I actually spoke to a Muslim brother who said it's only permissible when it's a shortage of women. Like if you don't have access to actual females, that's the only time that something like that could happen, and you would need to keep that a secret. Because it says if you get caught doing that sort of a thing, you get thrown from a high place.
I don't understand hating anybody, period. That was hilarious. But please correct me on that. Please set me straight.
Well, I don't necessarily want to touch on the religious aspect of anything. So everybody can research on their own.
Okay.
I'm not a Muslim.
It sounds like I need to research more on that. I don't know.
I'm not a Muslim, so I have no clue. I'm not a Muslim, so I don't know what they do and they don't. But when it, I know
a few families who are, and that's what they've told me personally.
Yeah,
so that they don't understand the alliance there.
Well, touching back on what you were saying earlier, I do think that it's crazy that schools are taking it upon themselves to, because I did just see a story that I'll be talking about tomorrow. There was this prom for 13, 14, 15-year-olds at a high school, and they're handing out toys, lubes, condoms, because it's a queer prom. It was a queer prom, and and so sometimes like regular sexual ed is regular sexual ed, and you even have to sign off on that. At least when I was in school, your parents had to sign off on that. And if your parents didn't want you, if your parents didn't want you in sex ed, if they didn't want the school teaching you about sex, then they signed a certain part of the thing, and those students had to leave the classroom at that time. Mm-hmm. But now, depending on how a child identifies or whatever, which may or may not be permanent or whatever, the school takes it upon themselves. And matter of fact, I did a video probably like a month and a half ago with issues under the flag at a high school. It was an undercover bus that was a private school. They were paying $35,000 a year. And the dean of that school was handing out dildos and lube to the students who identified as queer, and was helping them understand how to have anal sex without the parent. And they caught them on an undercover camera or whatever. So it's like there's so many liberties being taken underneath of the flag.
Now that's
right.
That's too far.
But you just took out black education, black studies from Florida schools. The governor just did. They just outlawed teaching blackness in Florida schools in Florida. It's against the law now to talk about blackness in school in Florida. Black history.
Yeah, we haven't been told anything about it. She came home a little bit traumatized about it, and then we had to have another talk, And I'm like, she's just not ready for that. I wasn't going to tell her too much about that, just the basics, I taught her very, very early a lot of stuff. I got her prepared with all the right vocabulary and all that. But to get into graphic details about positions, she said he was talking about different positions that they have to do in order to do it. And I was like, what? You know.
Yeah, but you know what? That's not hard to believe, because as I cover the issues under the flag topic, there are certain books that are in the schools and certain male to male oral sex in the school, and they feel like it's okay because it's a queer book, and if you don't like the queer book in the library, then it's phobic, and it's the whole thing. It's a whole thing.
That's the kids that are into the anime books. They're called graphic novels, and mine likes the graphic novels. So we have to really watch which ones she gets, because there's a lot of straight up pornography in them.
Yeah.
A lot. Right in the school library.
No, that's just wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too much exposure for a child.
Sex acts, the whole bit.
That's wrong.
Library. And she's in elementary school still.
Yeah, that's wrong. That's just wrong.
So, she's not even middle school till next year, and all that. She brought home one of those, and I was like, "What in the hell is this?"
It's a lie.
Did she just bring it to you and show it to you? Because if she did that, even the child knew it was wrong.
She said she just kind of thumbed through it. She didn't miss. There was, like 8 pages kind of in the middle that she didn't look at very closely until she was reading it out. But she stopped and brought it to me.
So even her instincts knew something was not right about that, and that's only a child. And she had the instinctual awareness to be like, "What? This is a bit much. I'm only a kid."
The other thing that I wanted to talk about as a white lady, I want to understand the Aretha thing from your point of view. I'd like to know, is it more about the race, or is it more about the song? The meaning of the song? Is it about the sexuality, or is it kind of a mixture? I don't know. I'm sure you know. We went through this with the "Baby It's Cold Outside" song with feminists, the Me Too movement, claiming that it was a rapey song, and we can't play it anymore. And that's just.
I believe it has everything to do with race. I believe it because Aretha Franklin was just named in front of the whole world the greatest singer of all times. And it's a pattern in this nation and this world that whenever a black person achieves a certain greatness or a certain prominence and is pronounced to the world, soon after that happens, is as a pattern that always something comes out to either tear down or discredit or go against or anything with that. It's just like when Whitney Houston did that national anthem and everybody was ranting and raving about it being the best one ever. Right after that, some white woman had got on something. She was an anti-black white woman, because not all white people are racist. She got on and she said, she pre-recorded that. She made sure to put that statement out on a certain news platform to be seen around the world. It's a pattern. Whenever a black man or woman achieves a certain a prominence, greatness, something that's just above the rest. Like with the Tiger Woods situation, greatest golfer in the world, all of a sudden his extramarital affair is something so egregious that he needs to be snatched off of that throne. Michael Jackson got a certain prominence. All of a sudden, he's touching kids. It's a pattern whenever blackness achieves greatness to tear that down. This was all systematic. The mention of this Aretha Franklin and the issue with her song. And this hate comes at black people from all directions. And now this situation just happens to come from the LGBTQ people. But it's all steeped in white supremacy and anti-blackness.
The pink vaginas, only the other word for it, they were the ones that led up this cause on that song. And it's just not true. And anybody with half a brain cell and any kind of knowledge of history could tell you that it was Carole King's song. Just like
exactly.
It's Cold Outside was sang by a man first and then a woman and then the man and woman together. It had nothing to do with rape or drugs or anything like that. They said it was a riffy song. Just people don't like. People are so offended so easily. And it's just like, if you are so offended by something, just stay away from it. Like there's certain YouTube channels that are offensive to me. Why would I go watch that channel and tell them to change? I
just think it's disgusting to go after women this way. I think it's wrong to go after women this way. I think it's stupid to go after women this way. These are some of your strongest allies.
Mhm.
I think it's ass backwards to bother females. I think the women should be off limits. All people should be off limits. Like
Yeah.
if this particular group of people, 9 out of 10 will be the ones who are standing in the fight with you, or either allowing you to live your life and not mess with you. Why are you bothering these women about what they call themselves, their bodies, what have you, while you hypocritically demand that we call you by these pronouns that you have forced people to call you by? It's
Well,
hypocritical, it's racist,
just
it's
like with
evil.
race, I think that just like with black and white race, white people who are racist and black people who are racist, you gotta admit that.
Yes,
It comes from a place of either hate, pain, or ignorance. Either you've
yes,
had a bad experience, or you've been hurt, or you haven't had any exposure.
yes,
So that's how I have raised mine, to be exposed, inclusionary, and all that, because that's
yes,
always the cure, to be exposed. And I did that to myself because I was so confused about the LGBTQ community. I made friends with a few of them that I worked with, to better understand them, because that's the only way you're going to get past,
yes.
those feelings. And I found them to be quite wonderful. They happen to all three be men that
Yeah, I don't think
transition to
I
women.
don't think I don't think black people can be racist. I think
Oh no,
some.
I think they can. I've seen some comments in chat that you might not see as racist. You guys might not see it, but I, as a white person, I've seen some comments like in chat that have said things like it's a white thing, and it's the white it's a white people thing. That is not
No,
a
because
racist.
what she's talking about as far as black people not being racist is that we don't have any power attached to those
You
black people
guys
who
have
might take an
way
issue
more
with you being
power
white.
than you
We don't
know.
have any power to actually affect you. All we can do is call people names or mistreat somebody. That's about
Yeah,
as
that's
far as
true.
it goes. Like I can't lock you. I can't I don't have any property to not allow you to rent from. I don't have a job to not hire you
Yeah.
on because you're white in that
Okay,
sense.
so let me
I
let
think
me
a
see.
lot
Let
of
me let me
that is
let me.
a socioeconomic problem too. I think that because of race, it has um, blocked certain communities from being intertwined. Like where I'm at, I'll just tell you where I'm at. You've heard of Black Wall Street. We had a super thriving black community called Black Wall Street in downtown Tulsa. And then you've heard of the race riots that happened here in 1912. They burned it all down, killed many people, all because a black boy looked at a white girl. That's what caused it. And
Right.
we've never lived that down. It's horrible. Horrible to think of that. But before that, we were very inclusive, had kind of a mixed, Tulsa was very mixed back then. But after that, then they had to, because Black Wall Street was thriving too much, according to some people, they had to destroy it. Jealousy. Jealousy is where it all comes from. And I think that's what this Aretha thing is about as well. Somebody is jealous that she's gotten all of this love and attention, and they want to destroy it. And that's just a shame, no
What makes
matter
you
her
think
race.
black people can be racist?
I mean, I have experienced it. I have been called the ugliest names just because I'm white. That my people oppressed black people, and I'm like, I've never done that. I wouldn't allow it around me. I speak up against it. I walked with the Black Lives Matter crowd here when they came through. I don't understand racism because it's not in me. My people came from racism as well. My
If you
three-time
don't
great
if you don't
grandmother.
understand racism, how can you deem some
I mean,
black
I don't
people?
understand people who are like that. I hate it. I really hate it to my core. And I get why. I also get why. I've had people say, well, I don't know why black people nowadays have a problem and keep bringing up the past and wanting reparations and all that. I totally disagree, because even though my family came from just a little bit of oppression, my three-time great-grandmother was an indentured slave, and my three-time great-grandfather was Cherokee on the last Dawes roll. they got together, and that's where my lineage comes from. It's still in my blood. I still feel it. So I totally get how you still feel it and still care about your ancestors.
How do you feel like Black people can be racist, though?
Just the comments about blaming me personally, saying ugly things to me and other people just because we're white and our ancestors did really awful things. We never did. I've never done that. I would punch myself, you know? I love all people. So
I mean, but being called nasty names or calling people nasty names, that's not what defines racism.
Okay. What is it called then if they blame you or they marginalize you? I have been marginalized at work where we were going for a position and our company had to have a certain ratio in the positions, and I lost the position because they needed people of color in there. I was equally qualified, but I was told no because we need we need the girls in there, the two Black girls.
That also doesn't define racism. I mean, like the definition of being marginalized is being treated insignificant, and historically white people are not treated insignificantly by a landslide. Black people have no power over white people, the patriarchy, job choice, social economics. So there is a huge, you know, some people do have a disdain and or really a fear, because I mean, we're still living, it's not like we're talking about things that white people did to us when our great-great-grandparents lived. There are people still being stopped and brutalized by police, white police. To this day, there's still some people who can visit white neighborhoods in a sundown town and still be lynched. I covered a lynching story not even 6 months ago. So we don't have that type of power to do the type of harm, to gatekeep jobs, to keep things in the family, the type of education, wealth, resources, knowledge, and so on and so forth. We truly don't even have the ability. Do some of us just stay away from y'all and not fuck with y'all? Yeah, that's a means of protection. Because over the decades and the centuries, sometimes it's just unsafe.
Yeah.
But as far as us being racist towards white people, we don't have that power. White people or non-Black people are racist towards Black people because they have power to keep us out of shit, to help our livelihood in the generations after us be better, and to help us rise up.
And that's so wrong. That's so wrong. I see the only progress that I can see is like in Hollywood. You know, I've seen progress in Hollywood, but I don't see any progress as far as like real day-to-day life in my city. I don't see any actual real, you know, changes that matter, that make a difference. But Hollywood sure makes it seem like, you know, Blacks are just, you know, like on top of the world and rule everything. You know what I mean? Yeah. With all the roles that they're giving. And it's just, I think it's a placating thing. I really do. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. It's awesome, of course, but it's not really solving anything.
Yeah. Well, you know, I appreciate you calling in. I know you said that you had walked with some of the people of the Black Lives Matter. I do hope, and I mean this in the most respectful way possible, I do hope that you're able to get more education on our history, because I know for a fact, if you walk with them Black Lives Matter people, there's no way that they know that you feel that they can be racist because you were called a few nasty words. I know there's no way that you walk with those Black Lives Matter people and you said, some of y'all are racist, but not y'all. And I like I know you didn't say that, because there's no way that they would even allow you in their space and in a fight for equality. So I do hope
I'll seek out more information and conversations about that. I have no problem learning. You know, that's what's wrong with a lot of people. They're stuck in their ways. They say this is this and that's it, and they're not going to change their ways. They're not willing to learn or grow, and I always am. So I didn't mean any offense at all by that comment.
I know you didn't mean any offense, because I could tell you really believed what you said, but I hope you get more of an education. If you and I were in the
Absolutely.
parking lot right now and you slapped me and I didn't hit you back and you called the police first, there would be favor for you and not for me. And that's the difference for we don't have the ability to be racist. Y'all do. So there's no such thing as a Black person being racist towards white people. Again, do a lot of us not fuck with y'all out of protection? As this quote by Muhammad Ali, and then I'm gonna let you go. He says, "Are all white people evil? No, but have we as a whole been bitten by them? A lot of times, yes. So if and when a snake knocks on my door, am I gonna answer the door? I don't know if it's poisonous or not.
I hear you.
I'm not gonna answer it. It's really just a mean of protection. If you
hear
go out
you.
the house and every time you go out the house you get stung by a bee, you just not gonna fuck with bees. Do all bees sting? No. But that don't mean that you going to sit up and cozy up and talk and be friends some bees or have a good time with some bees. If your experience is every time you or your peoples leave out their house, y'all get stung. And that's just kind of what us not fucking with some of y'all sometimes is. It's a means of protection. So it is what it is. But I appreciate
somebody's
you.
comment just, I think, sums it up very well. It says, we can't be racist. At the most, we can be prejudiced. And that comes from life experience.
Right. Exactly.
I like that. Thank you.
It is. No problem,
Well,
but I appreciate you calling in.
There's plenty of us that just absolutely, totally respect every human being. And we hate. And it hurts my heart to see it. It really, really does. Because I don't want my little girl to be raised like that, to grow into this world. I want her to be free, to be whatever she wants, be with whoever she wants, and be happy. And she's white, yeah, but I don't want her to feel any superiority in that. I really, really don't. So I just want you to know that there's lots of people like me that we don't like that feeling at all. I don't like it. I don't want to be above anybody. So.
Well, I appreciate you calling in. I hope you have a good night, and I hope you have a good week.
All right. Thank you. You too. Bye.
All righty. No problem. Bye-bye. Ooh, baby, where's the bush? Where's the bush? Baby.
It was gone.
Let me just go in the bush and weep. Let me just go in the bush and weep. I just have to go in the bush and weep. Really. I don't understand. I swear to God, I don't understand.
All right. So we're back. Some people said the bus has been hijacked. Listen, I'm trying to be more understanding. Every time I have a difference of opinion with somebody, you know, sometimes I can get a little roo rah rah. I'm trying to get better with that. I'm trying to get better about that. And so that was the reason, you know. So, you know, every time I convey a point, I don't have to be roo rah rah. I could have hung up and said, girl, bye, it's 2023. Why should I have this? I could have done that. And don't get me wrong, like that was my gut instinct. I ain't gonna hold you. But you know, I've been working on different ways to handle any disagreement that comes my way, any disagreement. And I've been doing kind of good this year so far. I've been doing kind of good. And it's a good point, you know. Sometimes you just don't want to fuck with white people, and that do not mean you racist. It just means y'all killed my grandpeoples. Y'all killed my what? Y'all pulled over my uncle last year and pepper sprayed him and elbowed him in the face. I don't trust y'all. That don't make me a racist. Okay? It makes me resistant. That's it. That's it. That's it. The bus definitely took a detour, but I think that it was something for all of us to see from all sides. That maybe some small percentage of folks that ain't black that come through and see this and they're like, okay. And then some black folks that was watching it the whole time like, but it's, you know, everybody doesn't deal with people who don't understand the same way. And look, this is progress. Anybody who's been in this chat, y'all have seen me go off on a person once or twice. Maybe even 3-4 times, especially during the R. Kelly trial. Woo! So this was just something different. And I did appreciate what she contributed to the conversation pertaining to the illicit teachings and materials and sexual stuff that was taught to her 11-year-old daughter. So What I'm going to do. Jane, I was born in 1962. I still listen to Aretha Franklin. I knew you were waiting for me. Okay. I was. Okay. He said, well done, but the subject changed a little. It did, because I wasn't about to let somebody just say some black people can be racist and let that slide. I could have went past it, and part of me said I could, but I'm like, that's not something I'm gonna let slide when this is a channel about black news and black topics. I'm just about to kick somebody off the line because they said something about black people that I don't agree with. That's a false generalization. And I felt the need to clear that up, but I felt the need to understand where she was coming from first so that I knew what angle to use in order to correct her. And that's why we took that time to do that. I'm grateful she called in. You know, I'm grateful she said what she had to say, but I knew which angle to take in order to have the conversation to help her understand whether she fully gets it now tomorrow or whether she'll never get it. I couldn't just let a comment about black people being racist towards whites slide. I couldn't do it. It wouldn't even seem fair. Part of me, when she said it, I said, I'm not even about to address that. Then I said, you a black news channel. How you not going to address that? It's a false generalization. So I decided to say it. Plus, I think my facial expressions did say a lot of shit. I think that my facial expressions did say a lot. Okay. So, you know, it is what it is. Was respectful. I like how you educated her and didn't hang up. Some YouTubers just block you when you don't agree. Right. Exactly. I'm trying to do something different, you know. Here's what I do. I had a couple callers up here. Let's spend 5 minutes talking to each other, and then I have some other topics to get into. So Jamal, I want Jamal to say something first, and then Ronald, pertaining specifically to the Aretha Franklin segment. We can wrap that on up, and then we can move on to our other topics.
All right.
Jamal, are you here? Jamal done walked away from the phone. Okay, Ronald, right, what you got to say?
Oh,
Ronald,
no, it's true. On the Aretha Franklin piece,
yeah,
that really is. Oh, there he is.
Oh, well.
Hey, guys.
Hey,
No.
what's going on?
No, I was wanting to say that
Hold on, make sure you meet me in the back. I can hear myself in the back.
Yeah, I turned you down.
Okay.
But
I hear it. I'm gonna just
mute
myself.
But what I was saying is that, like, one thing I noticed in Toronto is that, like, well, first of all, this is how I got introduced to understanding the depths of LGBT politics. And that's this. I never realized, I was fascinated to hear somebody say that there's gatekeeping and racial division within the LGBT community, because that's what I saw. And the only reason why I got to see this is because while I was in the streets, I did, you know, community activism. And a lot of the times, the street niggas ain't want to do that. So a lot of the people who are black that I ended up linking up with were gay. But Toronto's multicultural. And for whatever reason, me being who I am, which annoys people everywhere, is that I go and I start talking to everybody to try to formulate a plan, because we were in City Hall. And what ended up happening, I just noticed, it took a while for me to notice. I'm like, what? Why does it seem like on the surface the gays are all together? But now that I'm here, I notice the blacks are sitting together, gay and otherwise. And the white gay males seem to be, they seem to be the elites. They set the tone, they set the stage, they set the culture, they set whatever the case might be. And the lesbians, like it's not that trans men are misogynistic or racist, as much as it is clear they have sharp elbows and they fight for elbow room in every piece. They have to snatch a piece of womanhood. They have to snatch a piece of, I guess, minority rights, if you will. Different programs, guys. They got all the programs. The gays have all the programs, and you see a lot of the black gays that they stay on the street. They have programs for them, but they are very insufficient. Whereas the programs for the whites, and again, there's disparity even within the sex trade. So, for example, what I first noticed is that while prostitution was illegal, the white transgenders were the highest protected. They got protected by the dealers, they got protected by organized crime, and they got protected by the police. The the regular gay for pay, as long as they weren't like black smokers or whatever, right? Then they got protected. But the regular prostitutes, by the time you get to a black woman, I mean, if there's no hustlers willing to shoot for you, then you better hope you have a nice pimp or you're on your own. And so, and that's why it's a huge disparity of a lot of the HIV people downtown are black gay men and black transgenders because they don't get the same health care. They get left out in the street, and they don't get the same clients in the sex trade neither. So, and then as far as the Aretha Franklin thing, I think this just gets to a situation of like somebody fighting for elbow room where they can get it. And I think there might be some jealousy and animosity because there's no reason to, like if you want to attack natural woman, that means that you're really reaching for you're grasping for straws. And you'd have to realize the degree to how much black gay men and black trans people really feel like they have to fight for elbow room, and black lesbians have a lot of hostility towards men, but they're not in the position to be as disrespectful towards black men as white lesbian women can be disrespectful towards men, especially black men. Yeah. I can't hear. I didn't hear your response.
I was just reflecting
You're
on
muted,
what you're
Jane.
saying.
It's okay. Yeah, go ahead, Ronald. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just reflecting on what you were saying. It's deep, the similarities, because I experienced the same thing over here. I don't know if you heard me earlier in Philly, in New York, in Delaware, Texas. Same hierarchy, and filled with all kinds of prejudice and anti this and anti that within that community, which made me just be a loner. I left it all because all I kept getting was more and more traumatized being around these people. You telling people, you're demanding people who call you by proper pronouns, but yet your whole existence is all about throwing shade and reading people, and you're anti this and anti that. It's within your own communities. It was just too much to take. So I left them all alone. I stay to myself now, and that's the only way I found any peace.
And you so what do you exactly identify as? Because I noticed I
just identify as a regular man. I'm a runaway. That was what put me in proximity to these people. I was a runaway from an abusive situation as a child. And basically I had to leave because it was a domestic violence situation, and my mother didn't want to leave. She wanted to stay with that man, and he was feared by all of the people where I was from. So I had no choice but to leave. And back in the days I come from, the police didn't get involved in domestic, especially with black folks. You on your own with that shit. They wouldn't come to rescue no black woman or no black child back in the day. We just had to either put up with it or leave.
Okay.
That's
Look,
crazy.
I hold on, because you got that echo back there. I appreciate both of you all calling in. It's been 2 hours on Aretha Franklin. Then we spent 30 minutes on are black people racist or not, and me having to school somebody. I do have a couple of other topics that I want to get into, but I am grateful that you all called in. I wish I could keep my finger on the button. See, sometimes nobody calls in, so I'll open the phone lines just to let people in. Sometimes a lot of people call in, and it takes up a lot of time, and it's something that keeps me from getting to other topics. So had I known this was going to be such a hot button topic, I wouldn't have paired anything else with this. But I do have other topics that I need and want to get into pertaining to trending topics, Black history, what's going on right now, breaking news, updates from breaking news from yesterday. So I do have to get into some of my other topics as well. But if you all ever feel welcome, and especially you, Ronald, Ray, because I will.
Oh, I definitely want to get into those with you if we can.
Yes, because I do have the issues under the flag segment coming up tomorrow. And I'm not sure if you've ever caught any of my issues under the flag segments, but I do have the issues under the flag playlist. If you want to just get a feel for it. And I know, some people come in late, just like the other gentleman came in late, in which he didn't understand. And he rectified that. He admitted, I came in late. I'll never put everybody in one box. But there is an issue happening, and there is a lack of conversation from the queer community itself. And it leaves it to brave, cis women like me to have the conversation. And I feel like that's crazy because, I find some of the most brave, daring people in the world, to be honest, to be people who are part of the community. So for them to be dodging certain conversations because they're like afraid of being lumped, then I'm like, y'all ain't afraid of nothing else. Y'all are fearless. Y'all are like, y'all will tackle anything. But then when it comes to this, y'all quiet and then let cis women take the heat when they're deemed as phobic, when in secret y'all agree. But y'all know that what we're saying is right. Do we necessarily have all of the correct terminology or the right way to say it all the time? Not necessarily. But if we had help from people in the community trying to help us make these points so that we don't look like aliens, aka white people trying to tell black people how to be less violent or better citizens, we don't want to hear that. If y'all could help us, that'd be okay. But for me, my issues under the flag segment is mainly for the protection, primarily really only for the protection of children, because there are a lot of children targeted by people who use the flag as a guise and as a shield, because when you are a part of the community, people are hesitant to ask questions because they don't want to deal with the backlash. They don't want to deal with being called phobic and so on and so forth. And we see child after child and school system and program after program being victimized because people are afraid to ask questions because they're, not only are they queer, but they make it their whole personality. Every day it's flag. And not to say every day you can't wear the flag. Hey, if every day I want to wear a Black Pride shirt, I can. But it's the difference and when we get into that couple that was just, pimping out their adopted children, it's just like that was crazy. Clearly more of their personality trait than anything. So I would enjoy.
People need to go to jail for that one.
Yeah, I would really, really, really enjoy if you could just keep an eye out tomorrow or in general, especially when I do issues under the flag, and give your input. And if you feel like I'm saying something wrong, help me with the terminology. But if not, just be a voice and speak up and don't leave me by myself.
I sure will.
Speaking about issues in the community. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I'll put that on. Yes.
Yes. And what you watching? What you got? Because I've been trying to figure out what you've been watching. I was looking at the TV. What's going on?
This is the I think this is that one with the black people in the school thing, that college football or something like that. The WB. That just came on while I was talking to y'all. What is this one? The Game, I think it's called, or something.
Mac and Poochal. Okay, got you. Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, the CW got some black shows on there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thank you so much. I appreciate you calling.
Thank you. It's a wonderful conversation. I appreciate you.
No problem. And your experience is very valued. I will see you hopefully in the chat tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I took him down too early. My bad. But nonetheless, child, 2 hours later, here we are. But we're talking about the trending topics. Things definitely got heated. They got real. Things got slightly derailed, but I felt the need to, correct a certain blanket statement about Black people, about us being racist toward whites. There is really no such thing. And I had to take my time and really try to help that person understand that point, as opposed to getting smart and hanging up, because getting smart and hanging up isn't going to help anybody understand that point any better. Okay. Now, who knows if they truly understand that point, but just, attitude towards something like that, like it's really just not going to help. Okay. So nonetheless, listen, I done spent a lot of time here with y'all today. Okay. I done spent a lot of time here with y'all today. Hit thumbs up on the video. We've got more topics to get into. I'm going to go ahead and catch my second wind. Okay. I do need to catch my second wind a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to play this quick commercial. It's going to take 60 seconds. We're going to be right back. And we have a lot of other topics that we need to get into. There is a new school shooting that took place. Okay. I do have an update on a police brutality case that went viral. I want to tell you how that went. It went viral in 2020. A lot of y'all, I'm pretty sure 90% of y'all, if not more, remember this case. I want to give you the update. There's also another police brutality case that I don't see getting much of any coverage at all on mainstream media. And so there is some breaking news. I need to give you an update to yesterday's mass shooting and a few other things that we need to discuss. So I'm ready to get into these things with you all. This Aretha Franklin was something that definitely ran a bit long. Okay. But we're going to be right back and we're going to get into the rest of the show. Subscribe if you haven't already, okay? Black news, celebrity, entertainment, and the splash of controversy always over here. We're going to be right back with none other than your girl, the plainest Jane.
So let's see if you're really about it. If you've been serious about what you've been saying about wanting to support more Black-owned businesses, here's your chance. I found a spot for us to grab our hats, hoodies, affordable electronics, phone accessories, and gadgets from. It's over on edwerso.com. That's EDWERSOW.com. Grab something for your hubby, your wife. Hey, I ain't encouraging that side chick behavior, but it's just in time for the holidays. So head on over there and grab your AirPod cases, hoodies, and affordable electronics. That's edwerso.com, EDWERSOW.com. And I'll see you over there. It's time to face it, boo. Your product needs more exposure. If you want to see your ad here on my channel, be sure to shoot an email over to yt.theplainestjane@gmail.com and let's chat. But if you're new in my neighborhood here on YouTube, hey, I'm the plainest Jane and I provide coverage and commentary on trending stories, viral events, and Black culture. I definitely appreciate you stopping through and hitting that subscribe button if you like more of my particular brand of syrup.
All right, and we are back. We are back with your girl. I went to go try to find a cat. I saw people in the chat talking about where Leo. Listen, I couldn't find her. Couldn't even bribe him with the shaking up of the treats, baby. I don't know where he at. He's somewhere laying around, somewhere asleep somewhere. Okay. So it is time that we get into our next subjects. That was a very hefty, should I say, subject that we were just in. So we are going to, we're going to go ahead and get into the next thing because y'all know things are always sticky in Hollywood and in real life. So let's get into this next story and don't forget to check your mental health in the meantime and in between time. Which tragedy do I want to start with? Because we do have some real life news that we need to discuss. So there is some information pertaining to yesterday, but I think I want to talk about today's situation before we get into yesterday. So this is a situation that took place in Des Moines, and it's really unfortunate. I'm going to pull up the article so that we can go over these details. Yet another school shooting. It's just sickening how much we have to deal with. At this point, we don't deserve children because, what's going on? 2 students have been unalived. There's been an adult hurt in this shooting. So here's the story and the write-up on this. 2 teenage students were killed Monday and a man was seriously injured in what police said was a targeted shooting at an alternative educational program that was designed to keep at-risk youth away from trouble. The injured man was identified as the program's founder, a rapper who left a life of violence and was dedicated to helping youth in Des Moines. So 3 people were arrested shortly after the shooting in the educational program called Starts Right Here. Now, the mayor of Des Moines identified the injured adult as William Holmes, who goes by the stage name Will Keeps, and said the victims and those arrested were all teenagers. And quote, they say That brings a total of 5 family of teenagers affected by youth gun violence in a matter of minutes on a Monday afternoon, right here in our capital city. This is a growing and alarming phenomena in our country, and we've seen too often in the past and again in the city of Des Moines. Now, County held a moment of silence for the victims. He said that he spoke to their family members, but says, quote, "There's little one can say that will lessen their pain. Nothing can be said to bring them back. Those who were killed so senselessly." Now, this center where the students were targeted, it's called Starts Right Here. It's an educational program affiliated with the Des Moines School District. Now, police said emergency crews were called to the school, which is in a business park, just before 1 p.m. And officers arrived to find 2 students critically injured. And they say they started CPR immediately. The 2 students, unfortunately, died at the hospital. Now, the adult, later identified by the mayor as Keeps, was in serious condition, and police said he was in surgery Monday evening. About 20 minutes after the shooting, police said officers stopped a car that matched witnesses' descriptions about 2 miles away and took 3 people into custody. Police said one person ran from the car, but officers tracked that person down with a K9. Now, quote, "The incident was definitely targeted. It was not random. There was nothing random about this," end quote, according to Sergeant Paul Perzick. But he said the motive for the shooting was unknown. Now, the Starts Right program, which helps at-risk youth in grades 9 through 12, was founded in 2021. The school is designed to pick up the slack and help the kids who need help the most. Now, police didn't say whether the teenagers in custody were students of the program or not, but the Greater Des Moines Partnership, the Economic and Community Development Organization for the region, says on its website that Keeps came to Des Moines about 20 years ago from Chicago, where he lived in a world of gangs and violence before finding healing through music. Now, the partnership says that the Starts Right movement seeks to encourage and educate young people living in disadvantaged and oppressive circumstances using the arts, entertainment, music, hip hop, and other programs. It also teaches financial literacy and helps students prepare for job interviews and improve their communication skills. The ultimate goal is to break down the barriers of fear, intimidation, and other damaging factors leading to a sense of being disenfranchised, forgotten, and rejected. So, according to the program's website, one of the founders' songs is Wake Up Iowa. It sends a message that violence and hate are not the Iowa way, and instead, we need to learn from other cities' mistakes so that we don't end up being ravaged by violence and crime. So, this is a really unfortunate situation. Now, there was a woman named Nicole. She said her office near the school was put on lockdown immediately after the school shooting, and she saw someone running from the building with police in pursuit on foot and in patrol cars. They say we saw a lot of cop cars pouring in from everywhere. It was terrifying. We were all worried. We were on lockdown. Obviously, we were told to stay away from the windows because we weren't sure if they caught the guy. So this is a really saddening situation. And it's also a part of an unfortunate tragedy here in the United States in general. Let me see. School shootings. The website says that there were 51 school shootings last year involving injuries and death, and there have been 150 since 2014. Okay, so this was a shooting that was the 6th at a school in the United States this year in which someone was injured or killed. Okay, so this was really sick. It was really sad, but I wanted to bring you this information because this is something that is just happening all too frequently. Okay, Des Moines, I'm saying Des Moines wrong. Des Moines. Okay, so it's not Des Moines, it's Des Moines. My bad. I feel like Des Moines sounds cute though, but no, it's from what I'm being told on the back end. Okay, So let me know. It's okay. Correct me. I'm seeing 2 S's in it, and that's what I thought it was, but it's okay. I'm saying it wrong. I do apologize. It wasn't intentional, but I did want to shed light on this unfortunate situation. Des Moines. Okay. Maybe one day I'll travel there just so I can't forget it. But this is that situation out of Iowa. Really sad. And these are children who were trying to get out the streets, who ended up still having to be subjected to some of the tragic nature and patterns in the streets. Okay. So that's that. All right. Not somebody saying I thought she was talking about another country. Listen, don't play. Y'all know I got a good heart about this. Y'all know I got a good point about this. But no, this is a really sad situation. And again, 2 students deceased, an administrator or a teacher who was injured. This is not okay. There was a 10th grade student who passed away due to gun violence here in Baltimore yesterday as well. And that student was a student at Woodlawn High School. It's the school that I went to. And so it's just really unfortunate how easy, and not to mention I covered a story not too long ago of the 14-year-old boy, the 18-year-old boy who traded in his puppy for a shotgun and ended up killing his own brother, who I think was 8 or something of that nature. Not only is the gun violence affecting the young people are getting their hands on guns way too easily and way too often. Okay? Way too often. Okay? It's a mess. And again, Baltimore is my city. It's my stomping grounds. Born, raised here. I'm still here in Baltimore. But I can't hide the dirt. And that's why I say, Mayor Brandon Scott, he said the right thing and did the right thing by saying there's too many young people dying at the hands of dumb shit. And more people were caught up on the mayor saying the word shit rather than he was responding to a 7-year-old who had just been shot and killed, shot in the head, as a matter of fact, by a gun and killed. And that's what evoked that type of emotion. And so if you're not from Baltimore, if you don't know what's going on in this city, then you don't understand what it's going to take for a mayor or any elected official to speak to a city in the way that the city understands. All of that, don't get me wrong, I can code switch. I can speak very eloquently, and I can speak in a way in which my city and the people in my area understands. And 4 and 5 syllable words is whatever. Keep it simple for their asses. We need to stop this shit. And that's the bottom line. But this is not necessarily about Baltimore. It's about the tragedy in young people being so impacted and fatally affected by gun violence. It's just not okay. It's not okay. And it's something that I wanted to reference. Okay. The number of cases are high. 1/3 of the total school shootings were done last year. Yeah. It's unfortunate. It really, really, really is. So I wanted to touch on that. But also, there was a tragedy yesterday, baby. I was trying to pull up the church bus all day yesterday. Okay. And look, let's get into the next story. Don't forget to check in on your mental health in the meantime and in between time. But there was a story yesterday that I was trying to get into. I was trying to pull the church bus around all day, but baby, my stomach said no. My stomach was not letting me. But I wanted to talk about this because this was something that happened yesterday. And as you can see the headline, nearly all of us, if not all of us in the chat, have heard about this. 10 people were unalived and at least 10 others were wounded in a mass shooting in a dance studio over in California. And again, multiple other people were injured. This was a ballroom dance during the Lunar New Year celebration. Now, when this first came out, the subject was still at large. Okay. And they actually caught him. What's really interesting about this is he was, 72-year-old, old man, 72-year-old identified in the Parks mass shooting. He ultimately ended up taking himself out before they could get to him. Okay. He was an Asian man. He was in a white van where they found him deceased, self-inflicted gunshot wound on Sunday afternoon, according to the sheriff. Okay. And what I find to be really interesting about this situation is before he was identified and caught, they were screaming the senseless attack was an Asian hate crime. Like that this was Asian hate. You know, Asians already got their anti-hate bill. We don't, right? But when it comes to who, just let me know who in the chat has been the most oppressed in this country. Who came over this country without, you know, the masses of us without a choice? The majority of us were stolen and brought over here and enslaved. I don't remember Asian slavery over here in the United States, right? So they already have an anti-hate bill, right? And so before he was identified as this was Asian hate, they were trying to make sure that if and when they caught, you know, whoever, they could charge him with a hate crime, an Asian hate crime. But now, and when it was discovered and it was revealed that it was another Asian to have committed such crime, crickets. Crickets.
10 people were shot and killed near Los Angeles. Witnesses say it all went down after a Lunar New Year celebration in Monterey Park, a city with a large Asian American population. Police say the shooting happened at a ballroom dance club last night. These new videos show the chaos and the heartbreak on the scene of the tragedy. 10 people are dead, 10 others were injured and are now hospitalized in various conditions, some critical. Police say the suspect remains on the loose and they do not have a description. Monterey Park is a city about 20 miles away from LA. Police say this is an active investigation and they are planning another press conference later this morning. Good Morning America will have continuing coverage starting at 8 o'clock.
On your wrist of plain giant.
So the question is this still considered an Asian hate crime? And I'm just asking, I'm not trying to be insensitive. You know, families and prayers go out to each and every person that was affected, whether it was a fatal situation or whether they were just injured. But my whole thing is, it's a whole bunch of, oh, black people be the main people killing black people. It's black on black crime. Is this not still Asian hate because it was Asian on Asian crime? See, because y'all already got y'all bill. We need our bill. I want our bill. Because historically, we have been the most enslaved and the most oppressed over here on this land. And we didn't even ask to be here. So, you know, y'all was quick to say Asian hate because y'all wanted to see a non-Asian in jail. And while they can't take a deceased person to jail, is it still Asian? Had he not taken himself out, would it still be Asian hate? Because it was at the hands of your own? These are questions that need answers. Yeah, they found him, but he offed himself. Self-inflicted gun wound. He, you know, a lot of people when they get cornered in, when they've done things like that, they kill themselves before they're able to be taken in, and that's the case. So yeah, they found him, but moving right along, though, like I said, y'all know things are always sticky in Hollywood and in real life. Let's get into this next story, and don't forget to check on your mental health in the meantime and in between time. So what I want to do right now is let me refresh your memory. Let me refresh your memory of the Black lieutenant in Virginia who was you know what? I do have more information about this situation. Hold on. I just remembered I did get a couple of updates. About this prior to. Hold on. It's about the motive, and it's about the person that tried to disarm him. Let me get into that real quick. Okay, so let's get into this. This is a person who they said, quote, I realized I needed to get the weapon away from him and disarm him, or else everybody else would have died. So this is somebody who disarmed him. Let's listen to his verbiage and his language and see if he has anything to say about basically his own coming after him and all of them. Okay, let's get into that. If you haven't already taken a moment to hit thumbs up on a video, I don't know what you're waiting for, but don't risk getting kicked off my goddamn bus. Hit that damn button and make sure you subscribe.
Hey, thanks for letting me keep you connected and in the know with what's happening in the Black world. Don't forget to smash on that like button for support and for more Black news.
All right.
It was Chinese New Year's. We were hosting a social dance party. I was in the lobby. It was late into the evening. Most of our customers already left. I wasn't paying attention to the front door. I was looking into the dance ballroom, the dance floor, and this is when I heard the sound of the front door creaking closing, and instantly followed by the sound of a metal object clinking together as if they were rubbing. That's when I turned around and saw that there was an Asian man holding a gun. My first thoughts was, I was going to die here. This was it.
Did you recognize him at all?
Then, no, I did not recognize him. This was somebody I have never seen before. He didn't seem like he was here for any money. He wasn't here to rob us. When he was looking around the room, it seemed like he was looking for targets, people to harm. This is when he started prepping his weapon.
Wrestling the gun away from him.
This is when he started prepping the weapon, and something came over me. I realized I needed to get the weapon away from him. I needed to take this weapon, disarm him, or else everybody would have died. When I got the courage, I lunged at him with both my hands, grabbed the weapon, and we had a struggle. We struggled into the lobby, trying to get this gun away from each other. He was hitting me across the face, bashing the back of my head. I was trying to use my elbows to separate the gun away from him, creating some distance. Finally, at one point, I was able to pull the gun away from him, shove him aside, create some distance, point the gun at him, intimidate him, shout at him and say, "Get the hell out of here. I'll shoot. Get away. Go." And at this point, I thought he would run away, but he was just standing there contemplating whether to fight or to run away. I really thought I would have to shoot him if he came at me. This is when he turned around and walked out the door, jogged back to his van. I immediately called police with the gun still in my hand.
Well, that's what he had to say, okay, about the situation and about one of his own attacking him or them, okay? And then I want to give y'all some information about excuse me. Then I want to get into some information about the motive and how they still feel like they can't figure it out. So let me actually pull this up. Okay, so here's what Miss Nancy Dillon is saying. Miss Nancy Dillon says, LA County Sheriff presser now. The shooter fired 42 rounds at the dance studio. Still no motive for the tragedy that claimed 11 innocent lives. Search warrants turned up, no ammo stockpile. Items suggesting the shooter was manufacturing homemade firearm suppressors. Yeah, that's terrorism. That's terrorism without a doubt. I mean, all of these words, stockpile and firearm suppressors and ammo stockpile. Yeah, it's giving terrorism. Yeah, it is giving Asian hate. It's giving Asian hate. Yeah, it is at the hands of Asian people. Unfortunately, it is. That's exactly what it is giving. And we will never be able to expect Asian people to come out and be like, you know what? It was one of our own that did this to us. This was Asian hate, Asian on Asian crime. But, you know, when you catch the likes of such talking about the Black community and the detriment of it or the negative aspects of it, they kill each other, you know, it's all this other stuff. Oh, they quick to point out the crime that we inflict on one another, but I don't think that we're going to see them come out and acknowledge anything like this when they own grandpa came out and might seem insensitive, but no, I'm just making a point because I've seen them jump in conversations and you know, look, they post up in our neighborhood because they know our patterns. They own the nail salons. They own the chicken box joints and the Chinese food spots. They own the liquor stores. So they already know and they observe us, the way we act and the way that we talk. And therefore they have a mega opinion about us because they're planted in our community as such. And so they quick to speak out and talk shit about our community in the way that we act, let alone the way that we act towards one another. But they're not going to come out and talk about how they act towards one another. Look at this. He killed 10 and injured another 20. He shot 20 people. Are they going to come out and talk about that? Absolutely not, because they handle all of their shit and they have all of their difficult conversations about the problematic shit in their neighborhood behind closed doors. If anything, they might even pretend like they don't happen for real, for real. Mm-hmm. 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 Jaws movie noise sounds. So, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Now we can move on to the next subject. Okay? Moving on to the next sticky subject, okay? Check on your mental health. Check on your mental health. Let's get into the next thing. Like I said, I wanted to refresh y'all memory. And shout out to Atmos Love Zone in the chat. Atmos Love Zone is in the chat. I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man, I'm your man. That's my jam. Let me refresh your memory on a Black lieutenant in Virginia who was assaulted during a traffic stop. And this was the situation that went really bad, and it got really bad. Some of you may recognize this gentleman's face. His name is Caron Nazario. And I want to give you an update because, again, this happened in 2020. But I'm going to refresh your memory about it. And then I'm going to give you the update about the situation because he did file suit. And he filed suit for $1 million. So hit thumbs up on the video. Okay? Let's get into this video. I do want to give you a trigger warning, although I did embed trigger warning into this. It looks like I'm freezing up. Okay. I did embed trigger warning into the video, but I do have to give you a trigger warning because this can make you upset, right? Watching this. I'm going to refresh your memory with the recording of this traffic stop. And he is someone that served our country, a Black man, a lieutenant, all this other stuff. Let's look at this video and I'll come back with the lawsuit update and all of the details, what he sued for, who he sued, what happened, how were the officers reprimanded, all those other things, right? Keep it locked, hit thumbs up, And let's get into this information.
The following video is broadcasting live, and thank you for being my studio audience. Thank you for hitting thumbs up and subscribing to my channel for more Black news, celebrity entertainment, and a splash of controversy.
Rolex on your wrist, a plain Jane.
What are you, a specialist, corporal? What are you?
I'm a lieutenant.
Lieutenant, get out of the car. Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car. You made this way more difficult than it had to be if you just complied. Get out of the car.
I'm reaching for my seatbelt.
Fine. Take your seatbelt off and get out of the car. Straight onto the ground. Straight onto the ground.
Ma'am. Is your commanding officer available?
Down. Let's go.
Is your commanding
Let's
officer
go.
available?
Get on the ground. Get on the ground.
Please talk to
Get
me
on the
about
ground
what's
now.
going on.
Get on the ground or you're getting sprayed again. Get on the ground.
Can you please talk to me about what's
Get on the ground. Get on the ground now.
Can you please talk to me about what's going on? Can you please talk to me about what's going on? You're not. Can you please talk to me about what's going on? Why am I being treated like this? Why?
Because you're not cooperating. Get on the ground.
Why am I being treated like this? This is really messed up. This is really messed up.
Sir, well, just work with me.
This is fucked up. This is fucked up. This is fucked up. This is fucked up. This is fucked up.
So a lot of us remember this situation, right? You might not have remembered his name. You might not have even remembered his face when I put it on the screen. But this is the situation. I want to get into the details of said situation because, again, just because you are brutalized by the police, and I had to have this conversation with somebody on Twitter because there's another story of a woman being punched in the face by police officers. And I'm going to show you that. That's going to be the next story. And she was punched in the face by police officers, and there were people under there like, "Ooh, paycheck, payday." And I mean, first of all, that really shouldn't be your first thought. Your first thought shouldn't be, "Oh, she about to get a payday because the police punched her in the face." Like, no, but also, even if that was your thought, to be rational about what she's going to get in pain and suffering because she was done wrong, it's not always accurate and it's not always true. This man actually, this is an article that rounded, but he actually got $3,685 after he was brutalized by the police. Let me remind you in detail about this situation. He's an Army lieutenant who was brutalized by Virginia police in 2020. Now, this was Tuesday of last week. He was awarded the $3,685, and this was a federal lawsuit. And this is pennies. This is literally pennies compared to the trauma he endured on that fateful night. Now, this is an ordeal that unfolded in December of 2020 while he was driving his newly purchased Chevy Tahoe, and the officers Joseph Gutierrez and Daniel Crocker pulled him over. They claimed he was suspicious because the truck had no visible license plate. And they said it also had an extremely dark window tint. Now, the tag was displayed in the rear window, but it hadn't been placed on the back of the truck yet. Now, the officer Crocker had proceeded to search the vehicle despite this black man refusing. Now, body camera footage showed Gutierrez pepper spraying this black man when he didn't get out of the truck right away, despite him expressing that he feared for his safety. Now, Gutierrez told the lieutenant, who was black and Latino, that he should be afraid. You afraid, or you should be afraid. Now, in April in 2021, this man sued both of the officers for racial profiling and assault. Now, he sought $1 million in damages, and this week a jury awarded him just $1,000 in punitive damages for the illegal search conducted by Crocker. They then granted him another $2,685 in compensation for the pepper spray assault. Now, while they agreed that Crocker violated this black man's Fourth Amendment right to refuse a search, the jury believed that he did it without malice. Without malice. without malice. Therefore, they declined to award him any compensation for that offense. Now, this lieutenant, this black man's attorney, Tom Roberts, said that the verdict was a sad day and failed to protect citizens against racist police officers. Now, that police department, aligned with this situation, they discharged, get that as in 2021 for violating departmental rules during an incident. And I feel like the loss of the main officer's job in the little 3685, it's nowhere near enough. When we talk about the humiliation, I just played a video and I'm not going to play it again because it's like there was no need for him to be talking to him that way. Like it just didn't. It was beyond uncalled for. $3,000. The loss of the job is not enough. The $3,000 is not enough. About the paranoia and the panic attacks this guy's got to deal with every time he sees a police officer. And when you're in the military and he's a lieutenant, there's plenty of military police, right? They're police officers embedded within the military. This is embarrassing. It's dehumanizing. Not to mention, however much it caused him to go through therapy with this situation. It's bananas. It's bananas. So this is a really unfortunate situation. It really is. And I wanted to touch bases on it because some people seem to think that this is the real shame. Some people seem to think that when you're brutalized by police, that you're automatically going to get some big payout. No. I mean, do you deserve it when it's said and done? Absolutely. But it doesn't mean that you're absolutely going to get it. Now, let me show you something. I'm going to show you another incident that happened on January the 16th. The mainstream media is not talking about it. This is a black woman being punched in the face by police officers, police brutality, and officers gone rogue via racial profiling, etc. And this was the post that I was looking under days ago. People said, "Oh, she about to have a good check." And I'm like, not necessarily. And I posted the information to this officer's situation. Not necessarily. Let's get into this next. And again, I want to give you a trigger warning. Okay? Before we get into this.
Hey, thanks for letting me keep you connected and in the know with what's happening in the black world. Don't forget to smash on that like button for support and for more black news.
All right. So let me make the screen bigger. So her name is Latinka Hancock. Okay. And what happened is on January 16, 2023, she was punched by an officer with the Butler Township Police Department. A bystander recorded the cell phone video with the incident and posted it to social media. Now, there was a press conference about it. I'll get into that at a later date. I just want to give you the main points about this, and then we'll continue to make noise about this as we follow up. Okay. So, again, I have to give you a trigger warning because it's obviously not a joyous video to watch. But per usual, when we're trying to understand why they're treating us with so much force and we're asking what's going on, can you tell me what's going on? They become a little aggressive. So Let's take a look, and thank you for supporting the stream and watching. Okay.
What are you punching her for?
He's trying to. Oh, he did?
Why you punch her in the face, man? Hey, why you punch her? What are you punching her for?
He's trying to. Oh, he did?
Why you punch her in the face, man? Hey, why you punch her?
While the full context of the video is unclear, we don't know what she was placed in handcuffs for. What we can see is that she was not a threat to those officers. She wasn't throwing blows. We saw her hands in the air and her literally making sure her hands were visible. Like, hey, I just, as you know, when you're asking a question like, hey, I just, her hand was in the air. So the punches to the face, it made no sense because the officers were they weren't in the line of violence or fire or danger or anything of that nature. And so it really sucks to see situations like this. Sometimes they end in fatalities, and sometimes they don't. I really. This is a woman who her story isn't really it's not being told. This footage isn't being played in a lot of places. Her name is Latinka Hancock. Mainstream media isn't covering it for whatever reason. And again, this was exactly where I bumped into the person who was like, oh, she got a payday coming. Not necessarily. And I posted the article for the information. Like, this gentleman went through this shit in 2020 and got $3,000. She don't necessarily have no payday coming. Somebody said over a burger. Wow. This is over McDonald's. Is that what the chat's saying? Yeah, I don't know. All I know is there definitely wasn't enough evidence or like wherewithal, whatever going on to punch her in the face like that. There just wasn't. And I don't like it. And it's disgusting. And it's no different, just like I had to explain to that white woman who was on earlier, and she was saying that some black people can be racist. And I'm like, no, we just don't fuck with y'all sometimes. And some people might be prejudiced. We just don't fuck with y'all sometimes. It's just like the police. We just don't fuck with the police. We just don't fuck with the police because look what they do to us. And therefore we don't fuck with them. That's the bottom line. But nonetheless, it is what it is. And let's move on to, well, what are your thoughts, first of all, down below in the comments? I don't know. I would love to have a follow-up on this. I'm going to watch the press conference. But there's definitely not enough people talking about a black woman who literally just got socked in the face. If it was me, my sister, one of my favorite, content creator sister or them or whatever, we would all be talking about it. But this is a random black lady and no one's discussing it. And that's not okay. It's really not. But hey, make sure y'all hit thumbs up on the video. Let's get into the next segment. We are probably like 75-80% done the show. I would say we're like 80% done the show. We're inching towards being done on the show. And we want to continue giving y'all some good segments and turning things around. Some of the stories are going to be funny. Some of the stories in the bus stops are going to be heavy. They're going to be hitting hard because they talk about some of the uncomfortable stuff that we need to discuss in our community and in general. The mainstream media won't talk about things like this, and therefore it's up to the small media, the black media, the YouTube channels, the bloggers or whatever to make noise about this. Hell, y'all remember how easy, what I say? Y'all remember how we made noise about Kevin Samuels just because there was so much commentary created? And some people took his, not to say some people took his death as a joke, but there was just so much buzz around it, right? Whether it was serious, there was so much buzz around it. TMZ wasn't touching it. The other networks wasn't touching it until YouTube really blew that thing up. YouTube was talking about his death so much. 2 days later, here come TMZ. That's the latest I've ever seen TMZ pull up to a story. So sometimes the mainstream media does depend on what we are talking about on YouTube and what we make relevant. So it's important that that content creators make some of the right choices to shed a light on stories that they feel really matter. Sometimes let's just cut up and have a good time and talk about P. Diddy and Carisha or whatever. That's not YouTube influence or anybody else to talk about. Everybody will talk about that. But when it comes to stuff that is potentially tragic, potentially the victims are black people, us making the noise about it, don't underestimate and don't doubt how much that can make a difference. That's what I want to remind people of. Period, point blank. Okay? So let's get into our next story as we finish up. Okay? Hit thumbs up on the video and drop some pancakes down below and or use your special emojis if you are a channel member. Okay?
Get into this black-owned business, Stickies. It's got things for inside your home, outside your home, and even on the go. JasmineMadeIt.com is your new destination for Black Girl Magic mugs, tumblers, and even wine glasses. You can even customize the tumblers and wine glasses. There's a lot going on for a low price over at JasmineMadeIt.com. And if you've been serious about wanting to support more Black-owned businesses, here's your chance. Let JasmineMadeIt.com handle all your problems for family and friends. You ever had a friend over and they just wasn't catching the hint or paying the rent?
Our asses all get to stepping.
Yeah, tell them to get to stepping with this nostalgic Martin-themed doormat and shop over a dozen different doormat designs over on JasmineMadeIt.com. All right, stickies, you know what time it is. It's time to put your money where your mouth is and shop Black today. Make life easier for you and your household by taking your family's hot or cold beverages on the go with one of these unique tumblers. It's insulated to keep your beverage at temperature, and it comes with a few different reusable straws and even the specific brush that you need to wash it so you can keep it sanitized and germ-free. They've got all kinds of designs to match your mood or style. So grab something for your wife, the hubby, or even the kids over on JasmineMadeIt.com. That's JasmineMadeIt.com, and I'll see you over there.
Okay, that commercial be hitting. When I make my own commercials, which I do, I've made all of my commercials up to date. I really be bumping to what's going on. So don't forget, like I said, to hit thumbs up on the video. But if you do have a business, a product, or a service that you want to advertise, definitely make sure that you hit your girl up, okay? Because there are some different prices and packaging, okay? Make sure you send an email if you haven't already, if you are looking to advertise. And that's what you have a product to sell, you want more traffic to your YouTube channel, whatever the case is, just make sure you send an email because we do have some specials going on. And I do have some Valentine's Day specials going on. All right. And I used to do specials without commercials, but I'm moving to the point where I'm no longer accepting advertisement specials and packages without you having a commercial. So I have to be able to make you a commercial in order to do it, which means that it's going to cost a little bit more. Okay.
It's time to face it, boo. Your product needs more exposure. If you want to see your ad here on my channel, be sure to shoot an email over to yt.theplainestjane@gmail.com and let's chat. But if you're new in my neighborhood here on YouTube, hey, I'm the Plainest Jane, and I provide coverage and commentary on trending stories, viral events, and Black culture. I definitely appreciate you stopping through and hitting that subscribe button if you'd like more of my particular brand of syrup.
All right. So we are back. How are you all doing this evening? Sometimes when I'm doing these lives, I don't take a second to just like breathe and ask y'all how y'all feel about the subjects and just calmly tell y'all how I feel about this. I'll be so focused on get the next topic out. And sometimes that can take away from some things. Okay. So I just want to make sure I can check in with y'all and see how y'all feel and see how y'all feeling about the show and even give some real feedback. Okay. I know we was giving the feedback when old girl was up here and said Black people can be racist. I said, baby, they about to tear you apart. And I want to tear you apart. I'm glad I was able to recover from that. I just want to pat myself on the back from not having to hang up from some. If I can handle somebody that thinks that Black people are racist, I think I can handle somebody who supports R. Kelly and be more calm towards them. If I can handle that, I can handle any type of opposition. I'm trying to get better with my life. Okay. No, for real, I am. I do reflect sometimes, and sometimes when I go off, I'll be like, they deserved it. God damn it. I went off on them. But sometimes I go back and I reflect. It might be the next day, it might be the next month. Sometimes it might be the next year. And I'll be like, I could have handled that differently. I'm all about growing. And sometimes I go back and I'm like, I was projecting. Sometimes I do go back and I feel like I be growing. And that's the reason why y'all have no clue what I'm doing on the back end right now. I'm finding employees, I'm paying people, I'm ordering different graphics and pieces and things. I'm really trying to take this channel to another level because I do want to do this full time at some point. And I don't want to have to ask y'all for cash apps. I want y'all to naturally want to support or send your love via likes, subscriptions, shares, comments, because you really want to. But I'm really trying to take it to another level. And I know I'm already in my own lane. But I want to take it to the next exponent. I do. And so I've been doing some stuff. I've been really busy today. That's why y'all ain't see no jokes from me on Twitter today. Now you might see the jokes from me tomorrow, but today I've been so busy with what I need to do to take this channel to the next level, and really trying to bring it up. Okay. And it's not even about me trying to get back to 102,000 subscribers, which is where I was when YouTube clipped me. It's about me providing quality content that is necessary and relative to the Black experience, that is going to either make us think, enhance us, spark a conversation that is going to empower us as Black people, and ultimately better us. It might take us to the next level. It might be divisive for some, but that's where I'm at about it. I want to spark interest. Everybody's not going to like what I have to say. Everybody's not going to like my opinion, but I do at the very least, I want to spark thought. I want to spark a difference in conversation. And I don't want to do that. Some people, and I get it, I'm not knocking nobody. Some people create problematic opinions. They create problematic opinions and stances for the sake of going viral, and they don't even believe in said stance. They just say something that's problematic in order to go viral. I never want to do that. And for that reason, sometimes I feel like, damn, I'm going to grow slow, because I'm not out here just saying outlandish shit for the fuck of it and pretending like I live by that because I want to go viral. Some people say outlandish stuff and pretend like they live by it. That's what they call trolling, and pretend like they live by it in order to go viral. Like, I'm not trying to do that. Now, sometimes I get excited and I get a little loud, me losing my job. Some people try to make sure I didn't lose my job and stuff like that. Yeah, but I'm not about to lie about where I stand on a certain subject in order to get ahead. And sometimes that's where I feel like my counterparts have a one-up on me. I feel like sometimes they're willing to lie about some shit in order to go viral. And I'm sitting here being truthful and honest about my stance. And I'm going to grow slower because of that. And I'm like, you know what? If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. I can provide entertainment by being the funniest person I am and being animated within what I have to say within my natural opinion. And I might grow slower because of that. Okay. But I'm not about to sit here. When is my birthday? The first week of February. So I'm in Aquarius. Somebody's asking. So, sometimes I think about that. I used to worry about that, and I won't pretend like I don't worry about that anymore. But, it's a thing. But nonetheless, scaling and growing your channel is very important, and there are a lot of different series I'm working on the back end. But let's move on though. Okay, let's move on. There are too many types on YouTube. We need more people like you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I do realize that there are a lot, and I'm just like, I don't know what to say because I don't talk about YouTubers on my on my channel, but I do be seeing stuff that be going on. And as much as I want to do YouTube full time, sometimes I feel like the people that do YouTube full time, no names, sometimes I feel like they do outlandish stuff in order to go viral and get the views and get a certain amount of visibility. And I won't say that that's wrong. Get it how you live it. Like, get your money however you get it, especially if you got the internet fooled in a certain way. Okay, like, get it how you live it. We're talking about survival at the end of the day. And I'm only talking about Black people. I'm not talking about white people. So it's just like, people want drama and they even like fake drama. The thing is, the white sectors of people, they team together about their drama and their rivalries and stuff like that. Black folk, they really be arguing about those things. They only be fake beef. And white people fake beef in order, like, we don't, but it is what it is. Integrity is everything. And that's why I'll stay here. I might grow slower. And of course, I want to get back to 102K. That's where I was when YouTube deleted me the first time. Of course, that's where I want to be again. But I can't commit, because once you do it once, you got to do it again. Like, oh, let me pull a gimmick to get a lot of, you got to do it again. And that's not natural to me. I'm all about I'm a natural. That's why you see me with my makeup, right? Like, look at my makeup right here. You can see discoloration here because I don't put this color. I'm a natural girl. Like, I really am. And I'm not about to sit here and be fake and phony for nobody, because I can't do it. I can't handle it. I can't handle being fake. It's not going to look natural on me. My face is going to tell the truth. My facial expressions are going to tell all of that. Like, it's just not. But nonetheless, there are some things that we do and that I do want to talk about. Okay. So I know a lot of people like to click off, and let me clock. It's 158 people here. We need to get into the Black excellence portion of today's show. And without further ado, let's just go. I know some people don't like learning. They don't like Black excellence, but that's where we are with the show. Let's go.
Now, let's spend a little bit of time with our ancestors, or at least listening to them, because they always tell us you don't know where you're going unless you know where you came from. So let's get into a little bit of Black history with this Black History moment.
You in that crowd. They got me in the system. Why they gotta do me like that? And I know I can be what I wanna be what I wanna be.
We've got love for y'all, which I don't know.
Okay, and we are back. So today's Black History, due to the fact that I prepared this show yesterday and I wanted to go live, but my digestive system was giving me a hard time. I couldn't go live, but there were a couple of birthdays that really that stuck out to me. George Foreman's birthday was yesterday. Shout out to him, and I've had several George Foreman grills. Also Sam Cooke's birthday was yesterday. Shout out to him. It was also his birthday, but there was also some stuff. There was also some stuff in a not so positive way that was going on that I do want to discuss. And y'all might not like it, But sometimes understanding what our ancestors went through and hearing it over and over again, you know, how they responded to it, which is why a lot of people say the shirts and the paraphernalia and the phrase in general of saying, I am not my ancestors, I will cuss you out, or I will this. A lot of people feel like it's disrespectful. It's because our ancestors did put up a certain amount of resistance. It's just it doesn't match where we are in every generation and every year and every decade. Is it's different, right? But I want to talk about this piece of Black history, right? This was January the 23rd in 1957. Matter of fact, I'm gonna try to put his image on the screen so you can see him. This image on the screen, okay? So we're just gonna dig into a little of him if you don't understand this. Now, on January the 23rd, Mr. Willie Edwards Jr. that you see here on the screen. He was a 24-year-old African-American man, and he was murdered by the members of the Ku Klux Klan in Montgomery, Alabama. Now, he was kidnapped from his delivery truck and forced to jump to his death from a bridge. His wife, Sarah Walker, was left to raise their two young daughters, okay? Now, most textbooks, they focus narrowly on Jim Crow segregation. They end up ignoring the pervasive, daily, widespread, and daily violence against African Americans, on other people of color, and Native Americans. So there is a documentary pertaining to him, and it's by filmmaker Keith Beauchamp, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, and it's titled Murder in Black and White, Willie Edwards Jr., and it's from the Till Freedom Come production. So as expected, it can be disturbing because you're watching a film or you're watching a Black man literally be dehumanized, dehumanized and lynched and all of those other things. Just crazy. Okay. But also when we talk about, because again, I like to talk about on this day in Black history. Okay.
Now let's spend a little bit of time with our ancestors, or at least listening to them, because you know they always tell us you don't know where you're going unless you know where you came from. So let's get into a little bit of Black history with this Black History moment.
You in that crowd.
They got me in the system. Why they gotta do me like that? And I know I can be what I wanna be what I wanna be.
We've got love for y'all, which I don't know.
Just about the feeling.
So we get into talking about January the 22nd, which was the day before yesterday, but it's still very relevant history, right? And we get to discussing the Hamilton, Georgia lynching. Let me see. Do I have an image relative to... Do I have an image relative to this situation? I have a slight image. See if I have anything I can put up. Y'all know Black history is so much of my thing that I always got a little something to add in here, because when I get up in the morning, I'm looking at the news, I'm looking at the news cycle, I'm looking at what's going on this day in Black history. I'm looking at all this. Like, these are what my days consist of. On a serious note, I lie to you not. So subscribe to the channel, okay? Because Black History Month is not just February around. I talk about this every month out the year. I just laugh at the phoniness of every publication, whether it be the Breakfast Club, and I love listening to them, but I laugh at all of the it's February, let's talk about Black History. Like, I talk about this 365. I literally do. Every show I do, I try not to do a show if I can't find a Black history fact. Okay? So make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit thumbs up. But when we talk about January 22nd, although today is the 23rd, January 22nd is a day that they call the Hamilton, Georgia lynching. Okay. And in 1912, there were 4 African Americans, including 1 minister and 3 farmers. One of the farmers was a woman. A woman. Now, the 4 of them were lynched in Hamilton, Georgia. The 3 men were accused of killing a white planter named Norman Hadley, who was known to sexually harass and abuse Black girls and women. Now, the woman, her name was Dusky. She was told to testify against the men, John, Eugene, and Burl, but she refused to testify against them. So the minister, Mr. Hardway, had spoken out about the behavior of Hadley through the pulpit. So the 4 of the African Americans, they were arrested with no evidence. With no evidence. And they were soon forcibly removed from jail and then hanged. They were removed from jail forcibly and then hanged from an ancient live oak tree next to the outdoor baptismal font side beside the Friendship Baptist Church, which had been built just after the Civil War by people freed from slavery. So you see, there was a man who wasn't a slave, a white planter who was known to sexually harass and abuse Black girls and women. Who was killed, and they accused 4 Black people, one of which was a woman, and they were farmers. well, 1 minister and 3 farmers, who were accused of killing this sexual predator. And all 4 of them were hanged on January 22nd in 1912. Crazy. Crazy. Okay? So, besides the birthdays and all that other stuff, there were some things that were going on that weren't as negative when we talk about, like this date in history, January 22nd, that being yesterday. Let me put something on the screen here. James Gladden was the first certified orthopedic surgeon. This is the day that he became the first certified African-American surgeon in orthopedic surgery in 1949. And if you don't know what orthopedic surgery is, it's the branch of surgery that is concerned with conditions involving the musculoskeletal system Orthopedic surgeons use both surgical and non-surgical means to treat musculoskeletal trauma, spine diseases, sports injuries, degenerative diseases, infections, tumors, and cognitive disorders. This is a very specific line of science. And he was the first Black person certified to do it. But also a surgeon who has special training in diagnosing and treating injuries and diseases in the musculoskeletal system, bones, joints, tendons, ligaments, muscles. Partial surgery, shoulder. Oh my God, my words. Excuse me. Partial shoulder replacement. Total shoulder. Oh my God. Shoulder. I'd never realized I have a problem saying shoulder until now. Partial shoulder replacement. Total shoulder replacement. Total hip replacement. Spinal fusion. Total knee replacement. This is the first Black man who was able to do this. The first Black man who was able to do this. I can't believe saying shoulder is so hard for me. I never realized that till now. I don't use that term much. The last on this moment in in this day in Black history I wanted to bring up to y'all was Martin Luther King's niece. Her name is Alveda King. And she's a prominent conservative leader. She's an evangelist. She's the niece of Martin Luther King Jr. She was born in Atlanta as the first of 5 children of Alfred Daniel King and Naomi King on January 22nd in 1951. Her father worked heavily in the civil rights movement and was a pastor until his own untimely death at the age of 38, shortly after the assassination of Martin Luther King. So there was a lot of Black history that I just wanted to bring to y'all's attention. There's a lot of Black history, whether it be positive stuff, negative stuff, and stuff that might honestly inspire you to remember how great you are outside of the Krishan and the blue phases, the real, housewives of, I don't know, like Potomac. I'm not into that, that show or whatever the case is. Sometimes it's important to remember how excellent and how amazing you are. Sam Cooke, George Foreman was brought up today as well because his birthday was yesterday. And I do find it to be important, imperative to remind us and to remind everyone how amazing we are. It's so easy to stay stuck and to stay paralyzed on who and what is so crazy within our community. But to take time to speak about the excellence that exists within us, sometimes, it takes an extra step. People feel like it's not necessarily as positive, but it's definitely something that that needs to be done. And it takes bravery because some people would rather stick with the stuff that they know is going to trend based off of the wretchedness that exists. So with all that being said, let's turn this thing around. And let's see what else I have in store for you all. Okay? Okay. Hit thumbs up if you haven't already.
Baltimore, I can't see you. Where you at?
Yo, tell me with this. I can't help. I can't help. Robert. I can't help. me, man. This ain't not about music. I'm trying to have a relationship with my kids, and I can't do it. Y'all just don't want to believe the truth. You don't want to believe it.
At this point, we briefly pause the interview to give Kelly a moment.
Man, yo, let me put this. Yo, let me put this. Yo, let me put this. Yo, let me. Y'all trying to kill me. Yo, let me put this. Yo, let me put this. Yo, let me put this. Yo, let me put. Let me, man. Trying to kill me. Let me, man. Trying to kill me. You don't want to believe it. Trying to kill me. Let me, man. Trying to kill me. I hope this camera keep going. Stupid R. Kelly. Fight for my life. Stupid R. Kelly. Do it. Fight him. Stupid R. Kelly. Fight for my life. Stupid R. Kelly. Do it. Fight him.
Yes. 30 years.
With your
Oh
children.
my God.
Period, Pooh. And that's one period. All right. So moving on as we wrap this thing up. And on today's episode of What the Hell is Wrong with Y'all? It's a new segment that we got over here. We're going to stick with this segment. I promise you that. On today's episode of What the Hell is Wrong with Y'all? I want y'all to tell me what's going on. Maybe you can tell me what's going on.
And the crazy thing about stuff like this is you can't prepare for this. You can't say like, well, what if this happens one
And see, this has nothing to do with color, right? This has everything to do with the situation at hand. What the hell? What?
day and kind of like expect this to happen? No one expects this.
So this happened the other day, middle of the day. This woman is at home with her, I believe, 4 young children. They had just all gone upstairs to take a nap. This guy shows up, rings their Ring doorbell, stands out there for a while. Looks like he counts some money maybe that he has. He's looking around a little bit, rings the doorbell again. Altogether, he was there like, maybe just under a minute. When no one answers the door, he finally decides to walk off and then figures he should do one more thing. He fired 8 shots through the front door. The door that he just rang the doorbell on twice. So, like, you could legitimately have someone coming to that door. If she had heard it upstairs and bothered to come downstairs, there was enough time for that to happen. And then she would be shot. Those bullets went into her home, into her living room, into her furniture and her walls, and she has no idea who that guy is or what he wanted. Now, the good news is Friday night, police actually identified him. They're just saying he's a 46-year-old Milwaukee resident, but they found him and arrested him, so he's off the streets. But, like, what was he thinking? What could have possibly been the thought process? Like, oh, nobody's home, never mind. Instead of being what normal people would do and be like, oh, I'll leave a note, he's like, oh, I'll empty the clip into their door. Okay, this happened in Milwaukee.
So, like I said, on today's episode of What the Hell is Wrong with Y'all? Oh. Thank God she was upstairs and whatnot. I mean, he rang the doorbell like everything was totally normal. And this could happen to anybody. It's people with loose cannons. They don't got all their marbles upstairs. They ain't got all their cards in the deck. They ain't got both oars in the water. They not the sharpest knife in the drawer. They not the brightest crayon in the box. You know, we could go on and on about how dull and dumb people are, but like, right, if somebody opened the door, what was they going to do? What was they going to do? And this is why when I knew the other guy that called in early, he was like, dude, I said, well, where are you from? I knew he was from here. But no, on today's episode of What the Hell is Wrong with Y'all is I'm really buckling down on my brand a bit better. And so thank y'all for being here. And before I talk y'all head off about it, I really just want to show y'all what's better without explaining all of the nooks and crannies that are really improved. So I'm going to just get off and I'm going to stop talking. I can feel myself needing to talk. And really, I do have an employee that I'm bringing on board that I really need to be talking to instead of you guys. So I'm sorry, but I love you all. And I am looking forward to bringing y'all some amazing content. If y'all just knew how much work I went through today to bring y'all this new series that I'm about to bring y'all, outsourcing, just getting I've never put this much work in. I guess it's because I'm outsourcing. I have put this much work in before, but it was because I was doing it on myself. And I just realized I can't do it on myself anymore. It's time for me to bring in some help to maintain the brand and to maintain my sanity and to make sure I can still give y'all a great quality without depleting myself. You know what I mean? Someone said, you hate YouTube? I never said that. Sometimes I can overwork myself when it comes to how much I love YouTube, to the point where I want all my graphics to be perfect. I want my thumbnail to be perfect, and the description and the tags and the intros and the outros and everything else. And doing that myself while I have a 9-to-5, while still being able to create the content, I can't. I realize it's a losing battle. I got to give something up. I might not have to give it all up. I don't want anybody to come up with my script. I'm always going to say what I want and what I need to say. But when it comes to creating the graphics and the thumbnails and editing live videos down and everything else, I need to bring in some help with that. Otherwise, I'm never going to be able to catch up or be ahead and really just be efficient with my talent on this platform. I won't be able to do that. And it's always been something where I'm like, I do it all myself. I make all my intros. I've always made all my commercials when people want advertisement slots. But it's time that I bring in a little bit of help, because if I don't, I will continue to be wore down. Like wore down. And so now bringing in some help and consulting with some video editors and things of that nature, it's really helping me. It's really helping me because there's a lot that I want to give y'all. Y'all know it's been a while since. How long ago did I bring up the growing up black thing? And it's a really good idea. And it's a unique idea. You can't tell me a black content creator on here that has a series about growing up black. But I have this series that I brought to y'all's attention literally a year ago, and I still haven't executed it because right when I was trying to execute it, I got clipped. I got deleted. So I need help to make sure. I know I come up with amazing ideas, but if I need help on the editing end to make sure that I can execute my thoughts, then that's exactly what I need to be doing. And so the Growing Up Black series is I'm excited to bring it to you all, but I don't want to bring it to you all and I only have one episode ready. I want to have 3 episodes in the clip when I'm ready to give it to y'all. That way, if I have downtime, but when life gets to me, I can give y'all that. I can still provide y'all that weekly content of the Growing Up Black series. Does that make sense? As with any series that I bring to you all.
I want to create a space where we can talk authentically as Black people about our experiences growing up Black. We take a trip down memory lane from the pain to the jokes to the cultural nuances that a lot of us share and how they correlate to the way we navigate adulthood. Welcome to the Growing Up Black series.
Grown Up Black, it's got to be executed right. There's some pain there. There's some hilarity there. But I don't want it to stay stuck in the pain. I want it to be meshed. But I don't want to act like there wasn't any pain there. I don't want to act like, oh, it's just unicorns and rainbows. But I don't want it to be like depression, all this set, So it's got to be a happy medium. And that's what I'm working on. So I'm thinking there are going to be different episodes and different guests where we're able to get into those different things. So don't ever think that I am not curating things behind the scenes and the different series that we've been talking about. And I won't even name the series I'm working on now, which honestly, I can keep it a buck. It's not Growing Up Black, although that's something I'm not going to forget about. And that I do plan on executing within the next 4 months. But there is a certain series that I need to execute before the end of this month. And that's why I've been running around with a chicken with my head cut off to make sure I can get the graphics and everything done because I can't get it done myself. So I've had to outsource a little bit of what I need to do to give you all the entertainment and the information, which is basically the infotainment that I need to give y'all for said series. So yeah. It's been really cool. Y'all know acting up in church was not something that was tolerated. It was not tolerated by any means, like at all. Torturing that poor baby in church. It is. You know what? We've been on long enough. I would give you all a sticky note, but I'm going to go ahead and get off of here. I'll save the sticky note for tomorrow. There is a sticky note set to release tomorrow around about 8:33. So stay tuned for that. I do believe we have issues under the flag as a series that we'll do tomorrow. I typically get 98% positivity and feedback and all that stuff with issues under the flag. 1 or 2% of people feel like it's offensive, but it's really just calling out the problems within that community. So I'm open to it, and so we doing issues under the flag tomorrow, and I'll reserve my sticky note for then. So for now, I'll get off here. I do have a meeting that I need to have with someone that I do think I'm going to be bringing on as an employee to help lighten my load. And I really need to go. So I'm grateful that I've got this far, that I even have the budget to pay somebody to do something. But listen, I love you all so much. Thank you for watching. Thank you for checking the community tab if you haven't already. Thanks for subscribing to my backup channel. Don't forget to do something to decompress today. Drop a comment, especially if you missed the buzz. If you missed the buzz, it means you're chasing the buzz and you didn't catch this live stream in real time, but that's okay. Let me know any and all thoughts, especially as it pertains to the very first question that I asked about Moesha's dad, if he is the worst Black sitcom TV dad. Bitch, that's not the damn. Hold on. Copy. I want to know how you all feel about this. Was Frank the worst Black sitcom TV dad or not? If he was not, let me know who you feel like was the worst. Because some people like to say, oh, he wasn't the worst dad, but then they can't name somebody that was worse than him. I would like to know how you all feel about this subject and beyond, okay? Don't forget to do something to decompress today. Don't forget to drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts on all of the topics and all of the neighborhoods that we were able to discuss today. Don't forget to keep it sticky and real. Listen, you guys, subscribe and thumbs up or down. Either way, I appreciate it. And be sure to hit the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of the celebrity or trending syrup, because, you know, look, things are always trending in Hollywood and in real life. And drop some of them pancake emojis down below. It's your girl, the Plain Jane. We are signing out. It's Monday. We're going to have a good day. We're going to have a good week. And that's just that on that. We declare it. It's not even an option. It's not something where it's, oh, are we going to? I hope this, I'm just waking up, living by this week. Oh, absolutely not. This week will be productive and it will be prosperous. We will attract and we will amplify all things positive and all things we deserve. And we'll do those things through gratitude. Because the more that we express gratitude, the more we express the things that are positive and the things that the universe wants to give us. If you're grateful and you're showing gratitude for the things that you have, the universe will present more things and put more things in front of you for you to be grateful for. So damn, I know I said I was going to skip a sticky note, but that's the sticky note right there. Shit. That's the sticky note right there. We're not leaving having a good week up to question. We're declaring that we are going to have a good week. And that's just that on that. We're going to have a good week because we're sharing gratitude and it's coming. Nonetheless, listen, y'all stay beautiful, black, and blessed. I love y'all so much. And I'm going to catch y'all in the next video. Deuces.
But that's it. If you want to catch more of my commentary on Black culture or vital and trending information, be sure to subscribe by hitting that little circle in the middle of the screen, or I'll catch you in one of these rectangles to the right in another video. I'll see you there.